Hello, good morning, and welcome. It is Tuesday, the 30th of June, 2026. I'm Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Hughes of the World. I'm the Hughes. This is the world. We don't want I Kiss the Girl, do we? We want the news. We want the news on the telly there. Sorry, that should have been ready and set up. Sorry, a little bit late getting started there. Sorry, I'm not talking to Mike. A little bit late getting started there. Sorry about that. My fault. Not yours. But thank you for joining us this morning. We've got One Angry Pagan in the chat. We've got Lost Missionary. We've got Sid. We've got Philip. We have got Elle in the chat as well. Billy Kershaw. I can see Chris C in the chat as well. Martin Harrow. Hello. Diz. Hello, Diz. How you doing? So, yeah, all good this morning, I hope. We're going to be just running through the headlines quickly, and then we'll be diving into each news story that I have for you this morning. So, first of all, obviously, following on from yesterday, Andy Burnham has promised a number 10 North in Manchester as part of a wider plan to devolve power from Westminster and Whitehall and Downing Street. Today is the publication of the long-delayed UK Defence Investment Plan, the DIP, which includes $5 billion for drones and autonomous systems, something that I was talking about a long time ago, saying if they're going to spend money on stuff to do with the military, it needs to be drones, because the future of warfare, unfortunately, is drones. We're going to see Shabana Mahmood asylum reforms, which include a proposed £10,000 repayment charge before some adults can apply for settlements, so we'll get into that. Maternity care. England is to get maternity and neonatal maternity and neonatal commissioner after the Atmos review found urgent failings in childbirth care. Living standards. UK GDP up by 0.6% in the first quarter of this year, but real household disposable income per head fell 0.8%. So yeah, living standards not going up because of Brexit. Energy bills and other things, but mostly Brexit. Energy bills. Around 5.3 million households without smart meters are being urged to submit readings before the price cap rises. Grid costs. Rewiring Great Britain's electricity network through the 2030s could cost a lot more than was previously envisioned. A third more. It's going to cost about £90 billion. But in my book, that's money worth spending. We spend shitloads of money on oil and coal. Well, we don't use coal that much these days, but oil and gas. And we need to just get off this shit and get everything electric. Get your power delivered to you at the speed of light from the North Sea. From wind turbines, not from oil, which takes about 6 months to get pumped out the ground and then into your car. Then we've got food prices. The UK food price inflation has slowed to 2.4%, the lowest rate since March 2025. It's still crazy, though. Food price has gone up 50% since we voted for Brexit. 50%. I mean, for some commodities like beer, it's way more than that. The fact that we've gone from a beer at the Jacaranda being £1 for a bottle to £5 a bottle now. That is insane. In 10 years since the Brexit vote. Business confidence. Lloyds say UK business confidence fell in June, with manufacturing showing the sharpest drop. Sainsbury's, meanwhile, reported slower quarterly sales growth, but kept its full-year profit guidance. Reuters is reports warnings from unions and minority Britons about a rise in racist incidents. Killers of current or former partners in England could face a minimum 25 years in jail. School phones. UCL studies say a blanket school smartphone bans are widely backed by adults, but opposed by most pupils. Well, that was worth doing a survey on, wasn't it? Resident doctors in England have accepted a pay and jobs deal and ending further strike action, which is a good news story there. Negotiated with the government. The government sat down with them and negotiated, which is what you're supposed to do, instead of letting people go on strike, which is what the Tories did all the time. It's one of the reasons why the why our services were so shit under the Tories, because there were just so many strikes, and the Tories like, not talking to you. We don't talk to terrorists. Finally, the US Supreme Court, the court have expanded Trump's his power to fire independent regulators while blocking his attempt to remove the federal governor, Lisa Cook. So, we'll get into all this in a moment, but first of all, I'd just like to say, if you'd like to join in the discussion this morning, all you need to do is hit the big juicy subscribe button and become a big juicy subscriber. And once you do that, you will have subscribed to the channel, which will be nice for you to subscribe. So please consider subscribing to the channel so you can add your voice to what we're talking about. So we're going to kick off, first and foremost, Andy Burnham's number 10 North and devolution. We heard yesterday in the show that Burnham said he would create a number 10 North in Manchester to oversee devolution, housing, utilities reform, and reindustrialisation. This is sweeping changes built off what was promised in the 2024 Labour manifesto. I'm sick and tired of hearing it, that we've got to have a general election or we're going to have to. No, we had a by-election. Okay? Now, if someone moved, right, if Nigel Farage moved to the Tory party so he could be leader of the Tory party, right? We couldn't complain if he didn't have a by-election because we don't do that. It hardly ever happens. There's been people coming over from the Tory party to the refuck party and they're not had a by-election. Andy Burnham had a by-election. I know he didn't move from one party to the other, but still, he was elected on the grounds that everyone knew he was being elected on, which is that he was going to become the leader of Labour and therefore the next Prime Minister. And he won with an overwhelming majority, 50% more votes than his nearest opposition, his opponent, rather. So, yeah, it's a stupid system. Yeah, fair enough. But you elect a party based on the manifesto, and whoever their leader is, that's up to the party. That's the system. Look, don't shoot the messenger. That's just the system we have. And this is why the Tories managed to change their leader 6 times, is it? 6 times? In my lifetime, we've had major takeover. He wasn't elected. We had he wasn't elected into office from the opposition to become the Prime Minister. We also had Theresa May, didn't have an election. Boris Johnson didn't have an election. Liz Truss didn't have an election. Thank God, because she only lasted 40 odd days. Rishi Sunak didn't have an election. Five prime ministers didn't have an election to elect them. And 6 actually, if you include Gordon Brown, who's a Labour Prime Minister. We didn't have an election in 2007. We had one in 2005. We had one in 2010. Not in 2007. But there you go. Burnham has burst the tyres on the Farage bandwagon, which is enough, says Peter Payne's like, yeah. But, I mean, the way he has reframed what was promised in the 2024 manifesto by Labour is brilliant. I'm sorry, it just is. And maybe we'll have a discussion, a spirited discussion about this in the chat. But what I saw yesterday with Burnham speaking, it was a bit like when you see AOC or Bernie Sanders or someone talking, I wish they were president, or Mandami, I wish he was president. He can't be because he wasn't born in America, but I wish he was president. And I was watching Andy Burnham yesterday with you, and I was just thinking, oh God, I wish he was Prime Minister. Oh God, he will be. He described Westminster as broken, which this is clever. This is clever stuff. Because if you want to find common ground with a Brexitter, with a UKIPper, with a refucker, right, with the Gam-Gams, is Westminster problematic? Yes, Westminster's problematic. Brilliant. Bring it on. Do you want to see the new big gold eagle Trumpolini wants to put on the White House, very reminiscent of Hitler's office? God, he's so tacky, isn't he? He's got no taste whatsoever. He's got no class. He's just disgusting. He's just a disgusting, horrible, tacky man with tacky ideas surrounded by tat. It's just pathetic, isn't it? No taste whatsoever. He just goes into places and just makes them look gaudy and horrible and chintzy and shite. Not like chintzy in a cool way, just chintzy in a fucking horrible way. I always think of that episode of Changing Rooms where Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen changed someone's house into like a fucking brothel, like a Parisian brothel with all like fucking curtains, red velvet curtains and and gold fucking curtain stays, and they painted everything tacky gold. All them MDF painted tacky gold. And the woman came in and she saw it and she just burst into tears. That's how I feel. Like most of the people in America are looking at the White House now. They're like that woman from Changing Rooms going, "What have you done to my house? It looks like a brothel." Yeah, it does. Looks like a brothel. Burnham did yesterday what I've been asking Starmer to outline since April 2020, says Bolskov. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Spray can gold, says Pretty Kate Machine. Yeah, that's what it is. Spray can gold. It is representative democracy. You elect people, not parties. No, but you do elect whichever party gets the most people. That's the party in charge. You vote for the manifesto that those people are standing on. So yeah, you'll vote for an individual MP to represent your constituency, but we don't directly elect our prime minister. That's just not our system. It is not our way. And considering in my lifetime there's been 6 prime ministers who have just been put into a position. I mean, look at David Cameron, not for too long because he's horrible, but like he was brought in as foreign secretary under Rishi Sunak. Wasn't even a fucking MP. Wasn't even elected. Just he was given a seat in the House of Lords on the Monday. On the Tuesday, he was there in the cabinet making decisions. Trump orange aside, ever heard of blending? Can't pretend to understand why Burnham is create a third centre for Whitehall functions. Remember, Sunak already moved functions to Darlington. What does number 10 Manchester mean for that? Well, Whitehall isn't number 10. Number 10 separate to Whitehall. Whitehall is your centre for the civil servants, whereas number 10 North will be some of the executive functions of our government moving to Manchester, which I honestly I welcome. I don't see why it's such a big deal. It's only a couple of hours on the train from one to the other. And it's only going to be the people working in number 10. It's going to be sections of number 10 working there. And Andy Burnham's got to go up to his constituency anyway. Makerfield, he's got to go up there each week anyway. That's what all MPs do on Fridays. They go back to their constituency. So instead of maybe going the footy or something, I don't know, maybe you can be working over the weekend and getting shit done. Because I'm sorry, Andy, I know you're a big Everton fan, but I think, honestly, I don't want to see you at a football match. I don't want to see next 2 years, mate. I want you to work every fucking day that God sends, because you've only got 2.5 years to unfuck this country, and this country is deeply fucked. So yeah, the plan includes more public control and more devolved control of water, energy, housing, and transport, plus a major council house building program. Now, our friend Phil's got a few things to say about this, because he's like, "Oh, don't build council houses." Phil's got a little bit of a point here. He really does. He says, "Don't build council houses, because if you build council houses, you know what will happen, don't you? The Tories will get in and sell them all off and won't build any more, and they'll get a win from being able to sell the council houses," which is what happened with the council houses in the 1980s. And there's still people to this day, working class people, in West London, out in the sticks, who were like, if it wasn't for Thatcher, I wouldn't have been able to buy me house. She gave me freedom. She did. She gave me freedom. And they'll never be convinced otherwise. Even though what we're doing about, pulling out of the single market and what we've done in terms of the environment is very much against what Thatcher would do. But, whatever. So Reuters says that Burnham also promised to stick to the current fiscal rules, a point aimed at calming concerns about borrowing and markets. After his speech, there was no run on the pound. There was no bond market collapse and gilt yields going through the roof, any of that kind of shit. Kemi Badenoch said he hadn't provided enough detail, but good. I don't want the fucking detail. Put it in a fucking pamphlet. Put it in a brochure. Put it in a fucking tome. Put it in a book. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, right? Not enough detail. It's such a shit argument that. Yeah, we're going to bog everyone down with details. That's what brought fucking Starmer down. He was a details man. He just went on about the fucking details. No one gives a shit about the details. No one reads further than the headlines. Just give us the headlines. That's it. We're done. We're done here. That's good. It's all good. And Richard Tice called for a general election. I just but that's not our system. That is not our system. Why would we have a general election now? We'd have to stop all the things going through Parliament, all the stuff promised in the King's speech. We'd just have to fucking die. And we won't be getting the, if we do have a general election, be careful what you wish for, we won't be getting the right to die act going through, because that's going to be a private member's bill, 10-minute bill or whatever it's called. And it's going to come in not as part of the government agenda, but as an MP's, desire to get this through, because it didn't get through last year. It's going to be reintroduced into the House, and this time Labour have said we're going to back it up, and if the Lord's trying to hold it up again, we're going to overrule them this time. So there you go. This argument that we should be having, and we're hearing it from people on the right, obviously, because they don't want Burnham to be Prime Minister because they see him as a threat. But we're hearing it from people on the left, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, what do you want? All right, we got rid of Starmer. We know you hate Starmer. We know that you hate Starmer with everything that you fucking live for, die for, whatever. Yeah, we get that you hate him. We understand that. You've told us again and again for the last 6 fucking years. I'm getting a bit sort of tired of hearing it. I'm sick of these people who go, I supported Starmer. No, you fucking didn't. You voted for Rebecca Long Bailey. I remember the fucking Facebook post, mate. You did not vote for Starmer. Fuck off. And he promised to do this. Yeah, do you know what he promised to do? Detoxify the party. Did he do that? Yeah. Did he promise to get rid of the anti-Semitism? Did he do that? Yeah. Did he promise to win the next election? Did he do that? Yes, he fucking did, with a 150-seat majority. So fuck off. I'm sorry. I know that's a bit disrespectful, but he did what he said he was going to do. What's your problem? Oh, but he didn't do this. Yeah, because it's not a dictatorship. It's a democracy. You got cabinet responsibility. Primus inter pares, or whatever it's called. The first amongst equals. He can't just ride into Labour and go, right, I'm in charge now. I want to do this, and this. He's got to ask his cabinet. He's got to ask his government. He's got to ask his MPs. And if they say, no, fuck off, Keir, you can't do this. He can't do it. Simple as that. Like when he went after Pip. And they said, no, his backbench MP said, no fucking way. He's got a stonking great majority, 150 MPs, and that only takes 75 of them saying, well, we're going to vote the other way on this one. And he fucked. It's not going to get through, so they dropped it. Democracy. That's what democracy looks like. But he didn't do all the things he said he was going to do. No, he didn't do all the things he wanted to do. These are the things I want to do. But, life gets in the way. There's loads of things I want to do. I want to write the sequel to Man of the World. I'll get there eventually, but, But yes, anyway, so we got rid of Starmer. Good. And I am prepared, just like I was with Starmer, just like I was with the guy before Starmer, for the first few months. Just give him a bit of time. Settle in. Like people yesterday were like, but he didn't mention immigration in his speech. He didn't mention this. Whatever your pet project was, he didn't mention voter reform. He didn't mention the European Union. He didn't mention the right to die. He didn't mention this. He didn't mention, yeah, okay, just a short speech to lay out a very bold vision for the future of the United Kingdom. And do you know what? For me, I'm 47. I've never seen a party leader, right? Or, a prime minister, in fact, since I was born, who sounded like me, who sounded like he was actually, having a conversation with me, rather than talking down to me. I'm a state-educated northerner, for fuck's sake. And all my life, I've had either posh southerners or even posh northerners now and again telling me what to do, telling me what they're going to do to make my life better, and never listening, never asking what I'd like. Do you know what I'd like? I'd like more devolution, thank you very much. Because I'm sick and tired of these dickheads getting into Parliament, getting into Westminster, and just making life a fucking misery. Don't forget, I'm 47, right? 32 years of my life. 32 years of my life under Tory rule. And they're shit. They're really shit. It's a lot easier to rip up bills that have gone through, rip up acts of Parliament, or eviscerate them, than it is to actually put an act of Parliament through. So yeah, I'm all for this, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? I might be here in a year's time saying, well, he's shit at this. He should pack it in, right? Which I did with Starmer. I wasn't clinging onto the political corpse of Starmer going, no, he's not dead. Like thumping down on his chest going, oh no, please, not Starmer. Couldn't give a fuck. Don't know him. Don't know him from Adam. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I supported him to be leader of Labour. Yeah, I was happy when Labour got the Tories out of office. Yes, I was. But then he made a load of fucking mistakes, and it got to one mistake too far. And I was just like, no, we've got to get rid of this guy. He's not going to win the next election. And political parties are not pressure groups. They are not think tanks. They are not groups of people who get together for one cause. They are a political party. They have to have policies on everything. Everything. From voting reform to getting in the EU, to the treatment of minorities, to the economy, to the defence of the realm, all that kind of shit. They've got our policies on everything. And one of the things that I see quite often with some of the smaller parties, especially like, Refuck and Restore, they've got no policies on most things. They don't have a proper manifesto. It's just like, get rid of all the foreigners. Okay, cool. How are you going to do that? Well, we'll put them on a plane and fly them out. Where are you going to fly them to? Just, wherever they come from. What if you don't know where they come from? What if they don't speak your language? Where are you going to fly them to? Are you going to do a deal with someone? How much is that going to cost? How much is that going to cost the taxpayer? You're going to fly them to Rwanda. How much does that cost? 800 million pounds to send 2 people to Rwanda who volunteered to go? Both of whom left Rwanda soon afterwards. No, if you dig in, what do you mean by that? What's your plan? I wish journalists would do their fucking job instead of allowing these politicians who come on to just spout bollocks. How does that work? Go on, walk me through the process of that. And make them look like idiots because they haven't got a clue. They haven't thought it through. They just know what will grab attention, grab headlines. But in this case, at the moment, Andy Burnham, he's not Prime Minister. He's a very naughty boy. He's not Prime Minister, and I didn't see why he had to answer questions, because every question would have been, if he had taken questions yesterday, who's going to be the Home Secretary? Who's going to be the Chancellor? Who's going to do this job? Who's going to do that job? And he didn't want to answer those questions. He doesn't want to tell people. Ooh, this is the Paraguay-Germany match last night. Paraguay won. Paraguay beat Germany. Fucking scenes, mate. Scenes. Paraguay is one of the poorest countries in the whole of Latin America. It's landlocked. It's kind of fucked. It's got a tiny population. It's got a flag that's different on each side. Like it's the only flag in the world that has a different obverse and reverse. But beat Germany. Anyway, hi Diz, hi Chris, hi Andy, hi Black Dot, hi Pagan, says Viper Scott. Wait. Oh, that's really nice. Take the amount repairs will cost off that amount because there's a risk that people will just hoard houses. Shabana Mahmood saying they want to change asylum seekers, charge asylum seekers 10k for their accommodation 2 weeks before he goes. Seems like salt in the earth for the left of the party before the new leader. Let's talk about that because, my first reaction to that was like, what the fuck? But, so the government said that it says some adult asylum seekers may have to repay about 10 grand in accommodation and support costs before applying for settlement. Children would be exempt. The rules would not apply retrospectively. So if you've been here for a few years already, it won't affect you. And ministers say safeguards will be used to avoid destitution. And the Home Office estimates that asylum accommodation support costs around 4 billion a year. That's how much it cost last year. And Mahmood's wider bill includes faster removals, stronger age assessments, limits on some ECHR-based claims, and changes to council duties. But the same package also includes moves to speed up safe and legal routes, which we discussed the other day, including employer sponsorship. This is massive. All right, if you can apply for asylum from wherever you are in the world, which I've been fucking screaming about for years now, you will have a much more streamlined system because the people who come over won't come over on a boat, they'll come over on a plane. You can fly them over here. And then they'll be greeted at the airport, like with the Ukrainian refugees that we greeted at the airport with flowers and balloons by people who have sponsored them, people in the community groups, charities, employers, right? Now, this 10 grand, we're looking into the small print of this because obviously the headline is like, oh my God, we're going to be charging these destitute people 10 grand. There's something that you need to know about refugees, right? Not all of them are illiterate goat herders. It's a bit racist that we think of them that way. A lot of refugees are actually middle-class people who are doing a job, school teachers, dentists, architects, doctors, whatever, in their home country, and they had to leave. Now, usually, a lot of the refugees are actually more wealthy than the people who can't afford to leave, because actually applying for asylum anywhere is quite expensive. And so I'm not saying that, that they're going to turn it up with like bags full of money. No, obviously, clearly they don't, and they may have had their bank accounts frozen or whatever. But you're not talking about people who, when they get here, would necessarily have to do a job that pays minimum wage. Okay, so something like unskilled manual labor, whatever. Now, there's a lot of people who are skilled. They've got qualifications. They can go into a job when they get here, middle class job. And the idea with this is they will pay it back afterwards. So it will be paying off the rent that you didn't pay for while your claim was being assessed. So I guess it would be like a student loan. And I'm guessing that they're talking about making sure no one goes destitute. I'm guessing that it will be a case of a percentage of their income will be taken out to pay for that 10 grand. I think that's a system they're going to have. So it's not quite as bad as the first, it's the idea that people are going to be coming over on a leaky boat and washing up on shore. Do you know what I mean? And like the first thing they do is to look up and there's someone there from the Home Office demanding 10 grand off them. I don't think that's quite going to be the situation. But it's not a good look for Labour, and I don't think it should be up to me or Phil Morehouse or anyone else to be kind of explaining this to people and going, well, actually, it's not quite as bad as it looks. I mean, it might be. I don't fucking know. I don't work for the government, but, it might not be as bad as it looks. But, I think the way that Labour put stuff across under Starmer is just shit. It's just so shit, isn't it? And they could do it in such a better way where it will be acknowledged that asylum costs the country a lot of money each year, and we do need to find a better way of assessing people's asylum claims and allowing people to work from the day that they arrive in this country is a fucking good idea that I don't see anyone having a problem with, except for some dickheads who say, oh, they're stealing British jobs. And it's like, mate, we've got a real shortfall of people in the care sector right now, hospitality sector. We need more people coming into the country. No matter what you think or what you say, we need more people coming into the country. We've got an aging population. We've got a bunch of people, boomers, but not all boomers. Not all boomers, but we've got a lot of them who haven't worked for 20 years, who are on a final salary pension. Okay, they're paying tax on the final salary pension because they're getting 50 grand a year or something. 50 grand a year for doing nothing for 20 years. It's nice, then, isn't it? Our generation won't get that. If you're a millennial, you won't get that. If you're Gen Z, you won't get that. Gen Z. A Zoomer. You're not going to get that. Actually, I think we should split Generation Z into two. There should be Gen Z and the Zoomers. The Zoomers are different because they're the ones who were stuck in with their parents during lockdown and developed their parents' conservative tastes in politics. These very, very right-wing young people that you keep meeting, they keep popping up on the TV and on the internet going, I love being told what to do by a horrible old man who may or may not be a paedophile. And you're like, something happened there. Yeah, it did happen. Lockdown happened. Why did lockdown happen? Boris fucking Johnson. You're an infected of. Oh, good morning, you beautiful bougie swine. Oh, am I not a beautiful bougie swine? Oh, and Graham. Under devolution, the knuckle draggers will vote in refuck councils and get exactly what they vote for. Yeah. Although I'm sorry, Elle's got a migraine. Just you don't have to watch it if you got a migraine. Elle, look after yourself. Just have a lie down and turn the lights off. Take whatever helps. Unfortunately, right-wing media will put the worst possible slant on everything Labour does. Can't do a thing about it, says War and Peace. Well, they can. They can bring in press reform. And they can clamp down on these social media platforms that are just allowing any old bollocks to be written to anyone, to, vulnerable people. Like, a lot of boomers are vulnerable people. I mean, they've got a lot of lead in their brain. What can I say? But anyway. So, yeah, I'm a little bit torn about this 10 grand. I can understand why it's going ahead, why they're doing this. The implication is going to be the most important thing. And if it is something where refugees pay it off years later, well, fair enough, you pay your rent. If I went to another country, I wouldn't expect the country to be put me up for nothing. So, yeah. Indeed, unfortunately, some people think we've tried them. National Front will do a better job. Not talking about France. This is why they're in the lead for the 2027 presidential elections. Jump into the unknown. Yeah, yeah. Um, indeed. Generation X were the generation that rebelled, says you're in fact enough. Were they? Okay. Defense. Let's talk about defense. So the after months of disputes over funding, the UK's Defence Investment Plan is being published today. Dan Jarvis has secured an extra 1.5 billion, taking planned drone spending from 4 billion to over 5 billion over 4 years. The Guardian reports that a previous 18 billion funding gap contributed to John Healey's resignation as Defence Secretary. The plan prioritises drones, autonomous systems, uncrewed ships and submarines, reflecting the lessons of Ukraine. Because Ukraine is fighting the next war, we don't want to put a defence plan in that is still fighting the last war. That is the worst thing we can do. That is the way that you lose wars. And elections. Fighting the last election is not a way to win an election. Which is why Labour kept stum about Brexit in the last election, because all the previous elections had been about Brexit, right? So they were like, don't talk about it. But now Andy Burnham comes in, who's said, full-throated, he'd like to rejoin the EU in his lifetime. And yeah, but we have to be patient. I know that seems like a mad thing for a very garrulous ADHD scouser to say, but we do have to bide our time with this one. We really do. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is, you know. We have to bide our time waiting for Everton to ever win anything ever again. It's just one of those things. But do you know what? I think that the England team are going to do really, really well this year up till maybe the round of 16. Anyway, Springer of Blick? What? Gen X, who were the adults of the 90s, Cool Britannia wasn't a rebellion, student fees, PFI, privatizations, etc. Not getting into intergenerational conflict. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just say there's a lot more boomers because they're called boomers, and it's a big problem because we need to look after them because they don't want to work anymore. A lot of them could still keep working, but they don't want to. They want to just sit on their arse all day and play video games. Well, there you go. You know, if a young person does that, they're in trouble. But if an old person does that, it's fair enough. It's their reward for a life of hard work, of going to the office and moving some papers around, getting drunk at lunchtime, driving home drunk, and then having your food there already and not having to do the dishes, and then just going to sleep after watching Emmerdale. Cool. Yeah, worked hard, mate. We worked really, really hard. They get me started on people who say they work hard. Like, unless you're a coal miner, I've got nothing to say to you. You know, unless your job is actual fucking hard yakka. You know, boys to the black stuff, go and put down a fucking road. The people laying tarmac, okay, they're doing a hard job. They're working hard, you know? Anything that requires physical fucking exertion, that's working hard. You work in an office? Come on. Look, I know it can be stressful waiting for that email to turn up and pressing refresh on your mouse. You might get a little bit of RSI on your finger. I certainly have. But I can't claim to fucking work as hard as someone whose job it is. What about the Sherpas, eh? Their job is to climb up a fucking mountain. What about people in the army? Their job is to go to these war-torn countries and get shot at. It's working harder than what I do. Woke up breathing, Sean, so all is good. Says Lost Missionary. Hope yours is an improving picture, lad. Oh. I truly hope we're not trying to fight the last war. It ended in 1945. Yeah. Well, this is it. The Tories wanted to build a bunch of fucking aircraft carriers and shit. We don't need them anymore. It's completely pointless. In fact, it just makes a massive target for drones. And you have a massive a drone swarm of 1,000 drones, one might get through. You know, if it's going fast enough, you may scramble. It's an internal computer by using microwaves. But if it's going in your direction, it's not necessarily going to drop out the sky, depending on how fast forward it's going. They've got these rocket-propelled drones coming out of Iran and out of Ukraine and Russia at the moment, and they're going at like naught to 240 miles an hour in like 3 fucking seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like, if one gets through, that's it. You're fucked on a ship. Jesus Christ, so many things to go wrong. So yeah, smaller ships, loads of drones, drone submarines, drone boats. Just gonna have robots fighting each other. It's gonna be like robot wars with Craig Charles and Philippa Forrester. Loved Philippa Forrester. Anyway, depends on what armor the ship has. The drones have small warheads. That is true. But every ship has its weak points. Every ship has a little bit. You know, the yeah. Building capital ships is just a pissing contest, as War and Peace. Yeah. It's not a good use of money. It's not a good. And I've spoken to friends who are in the military who say the same thing. They've got to fight in the next war. Simple as that. Anyway, so defense plan. Yeah. They're going to prioritize attack drones. The uncrewed ships and submarines, and reflecting lessons from Ukraine. John Healey obviously resigned, the former Secretary of State for Defence. He resigned a few weeks ago due to the £18 billion funding gap, because the amount of money they're getting from the Treasury is a lot lower than what he wanted. And defence chiefs are saying there's still a £28 billion funding gap over the next 4 years, and the full plan is being watched by industry and NATO. But we spend more on repaying our debts that the Tories racked up by maxing out the nation's credit card. Say it with me. It's a good little catchy line that can fit in the heads of people who aren't too intelligent. They maxed out the nation's credit card, and now we're paying the interest. We're left with the interest of them maxing out the country's credit card. It's a really simple analogy that people can get their head around. I know it's a bit more complicated than that, but if we weren't paying that, we'd have a lot more money. If we hadn't pulled out the European Union, we'd have a lot more money. In fact, we'd have 100 billion a year going to the Treasury, more than we have right now. 100 billion because of Brexit. Every year for the last 10 years, 100 billion pounds. Fuck's sake. Fuck's sake. And that's going to be the next few years as well. Yeah, so we will be able to do this. We'll be able to fund this. We'll be able to fund the NHS. We'll be able to fund schools and fill the potholes and give people the mental health support that they need. But no, we decided to Brexit instead. And then you've got these very, very, very posh people who have never had to take the bins out, who sit there and go, what price freedom? I say, what price freedom? When they've taken our freedoms from us. Our freedom to live and work around Europe, they've taken that from us. From you and me. They haven't taken it from themselves. And I'll keep banging this drum until we get back in the EU, because it's fucking disgusting what they did to us. It's fucking disgusting. They left an impoverished country where everyone's at each other's throats. An unhappy country. God, if we had a happiness index like they do in Bhutan, we wouldn't be doing so well right now. You know, gross domestic happiness. Yeah. Not doing so well. Richie Goff says, Generation X here. We stood against everything our parents were, not having kids and not following the norm of family and kids. We are the punks, goths, metalheads, many of us. Well, I mean, some of the boomers were punks, I mean, technically. I mean, you look at someone like, who's that twat who we hate? The knobhead, the wanker. What's his name from the Sex Pistols? Johnny Rotten, John Lydon. He's a fucking prick, isn't he? He's advertising fucking Country Life butter, and he's a massive fucking Brexiteer. Some punk rocker he is, bastard. Anyway, see Dizzy Dizzle, I'm with you on that, Graham. Thank you. Took our bin out at 5 a.m. this morning. Yeah, Nigel Farage has never had to do that. Donald Trump has never had to do that. Boris Johnson, Rees-Mogg, Gove, all these rich motherfuckers, they had people. They'd never cleaned the house. They'd never had to dust a surface. They'd never had to scrub a floor. They'd never had to clean up a spill. They're people, darling. We have people. They've grown up with servants. You know. They never had to go to the supermarket and buy food. Work out what meals they're going to make. They never had to make a meal. There's a movie that came out earlier this year called Send Help. And I kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of fun. It's got Rachel McAdams in it, and she's all right. And she's on a desert island stuck with this CEO, Nepo baby, who's fucking useless. And she's brilliant on a desert island. He's completely shit. And it ends up with this sort of battle of the sexes thing going on. It's quite brutal. There's a lot of violence in it. It's a Sam Raimi film. So the violence is ridiculous, hilarious, and over the top. He likes his gore, does Sam Raimi. He's the guy who directed the Evil Dead trilogy. And Superman. Spider-Man, sorry, the original Spider-Man trilogy. I just, there's a part of me that really wants to take these nepo baby fucking scumbags, these rich fucking useless twats like Elon Musk and Trump and Farage and Putin. Well, no, actually, I think Putin's capable because he didn't grow up rich. Do you know, that's probably why he's always one step ahead of all these other motherfuckers. Well, he's one step ahead of like Trump and that. That's not very hard, but he's not one step ahead of Zelensky. Zelensky, again, he's not a nepo baby. He didn't grow up in vast amounts of inherited wealth. And there's some canny operators out there who I guess do know how to make a sandwich. But could you imagine Trump on a desert island? He wouldn't last the night. We should do it. It's a big social experiment. Get a load of nepo babies that we fucking hate. Put them on an island. See who's left alive after a week. See who is left alive after a week. We need water. Oh, will you do it? I have people for that. But they're not here. Well, I'm not getting my own water. Oh, there's water in the sea. We'll drink that. Yeah, but it's salty, isn't it? Yeah, but you can drink salt water. Robert F. Kennedy told me we can. Robert F. Kennedy's there fucking drinking out the fucking lagoon in the middle of the island that's clearly full of fucking algae. He's like, oh, this lagoon water's really the stagnant fucking stinky water. This is good. It clears your insides out. He fucking shits himself to death. And you got Donald Trump just sitting there going, give me food, give me burgers. Can you make a burger? No, I don't know how to make a burger. He worked in McDonald's, didn't he? He worked in McDonald's when he was running for president on the second time. I don't think he actually put any of those burgers together. I think he just picked them off someone else who's put them together and just handed them over to people. And, hey, I'm going to be your president. I'm just like you. I'm just like a normal white collar, a blue collar billionaire. Yeah, right, mate. Yeah. I've probably never made a coffee. Always had someone to do it for them. And these are the people who tell us that they're there on our side, behind us. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Cooper says, as much as I think getting the UK back in the EU would be good, I know the EU will not allow the UK back under the same deal as before. The concessions because of instability and leaving may not be worth it. I think it would be worth it to get back into the single market. And then if you want to make the rules for the single market, you've got to be part of the EU. So whatever they offer us, I'll take it. But we're not going to get the same deal. We're not going to. But they're not going to force us to take the euro because our economy's not. It doesn't qualify for the euro, believe it or not. For the rules one of the rules for taking on the euro is your debt to GDP ratio can't be over 60%, I think, and it's currently at like 98%. It's at 98%. Like fucking, that's not going to happen. And we can't join Schengen without the consent of Ireland. That may not give it. And I really doubt they will give it right now. Unless Ireland want to join Schengen, we can't because we're part of a common travel area which predates the EU with the Republic of Ireland. So Schengen and Euro, forget about it. We can't even join them even if we wanted to, which we don't. But even if we did want to do that, I'll say I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind being part of Schengen. I wouldn't mind getting adopting the euro. I don't give a fuck. But I know that from polling people, they're not happy with that. The big thing for me is that we lost our rebate. Do you know that was 2/3 off what the other countries pay? Maggie Thatcher negotiated that. 2/3 rebate. Fucking unbelievable. We're getting full single market, customs union, EU access for a fraction of the price. 1/3 of what we were supposed to be paying. And we threw it away. Fucking madness. Because the posh kids told us to. The posh kids told us to. Hey, Viper Scott, Alistair, thank you very much for the super chat to get Dizzer's confetti fix started. Yeah, let's get the party started here. Yes. Man of the people. Man of the people. Man of the people. Indeed. Richie Goth responded to Kate saying, I think we all need a plan to have some sort of village type thing in a field somewhere in tents. I'm hoping for a van. I think that there isn't. I think we need to have a new Stonewall because it's obvious that Stonewall's fucking shit at the moment, and the person in charge of it is some fucking turfy motherfucker who's like, "Well, I do respect J.K. Rowling." I'm like, "No, you don't. Don't respect the person who's trying to just eradicate an entire segment of LGBTQIA." Do you know what I mean? The community. Like, what are you doing? What are you even talking about? So I think there needs to be a new Stonewall. There needs to be a new group of people who are trans allies, trans people, people from across the LGBT community who support trans rights, and we need to take the fight to Parliament. We need to take the fight out there, because at the moment, what are we getting? We've got Caitlyn Jenner over in America, stupid fucking turfy. She's transgender and the turf. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with her? She's a fucking Trump supporter, right? Now she's whinging about the fact that she can't use her passport to go anywhere because it gives the wrong fucking gender in her passport because of the Trump that she helped get fucking elected. Stupid fucking idiot. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. But yeah, I really do think that there needs to be. I know there's transactual and there's some other trans groups, but I think it needs to be wider than that. I think it needs to be something where it's not just. It doesn't feel like it's just for trans people, and obviously people watching this will know a better grip on this than I certainly do. But one that's also for trans allies and people getting the message out and getting people on side. And there needs to be, weekly meetings where a agenda, a trans agenda, is drawn up and actually become the trans lobbyists, the trans activists that these transphobes go on about all the time. But put at the vanguard, that's the back, isn't it? Put at the front. Is the vanguard at the front or the back? I can't remember. Put at the front of all that, the trans allies. Don't put trans people at the front, put the trans allies at the front. So when people are going on TV arguing for trans rights, we're not leaving it up to the trans community to have to fight all these battles on their own when the trans community is very small and very underfunded. There's no billionaires around the world, are there, who are funding trans rights? They're all actually funding transphobia, if anything. Anyway, we got confetti already. That was amazing. So just going off on one about transphobia, and we got a load of super chat. Woohoo! We got Lost Missionary in there with the £2 super chat. Thank you. And it's because Alistair is a fucking gem, which is very true. Alistair is a fucking gem. We've also got Francis Winrow saying, for Diz, for the watch. I'm not a sheep. For confetti. Did you like me, bar? I know you did. You're in effect enough. Dropping a super chat on me there, down from Scotland. Thank you. And we've got Martin Harrow. Thank you very much. Let's get Dizz's legs wobbling. Ooh, misses. Woo-hoo-hoo. Fruity. And then we've got Piper Scott there saying, confetti time, not messing around. Let's pick up the box. Let's press the button. 3, 2, 1. Confetti! There we go. Hello. Right. So yes, we need to. I've got a special announcement. Should we do Boba Fetty next? Should we do Boba Fetty? Yeah, let's do a Boba Fetty. Boba Fetty. We always like a little bit Boba Fetty. In a little bit. We've got loads of stories to get through. I'm trying to do a different thing on this. We're not just talking about one story for now. I'm actually going through a few different things that are going on. Problem is, Graham, there are too few transgender voices in this debate. Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. And that's what I'm saying about trans allies. We need more trans allies. We need to be getting more people on side to understand that there's not enough trans people and there's not enough funding for trans people to actually have a voice against the likes of 55 Tufton Street, the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, Shell, Exxon, fucking BP, and all these fuckers who are paying shitloads of money, millions and millions of pounds every year to promote transphobic voices and transphobic causes. But yeah, it's something that I think Needs to happen. Angry says, this is how it goes. Meetings in rooms, a little diplomacy, a little give and take, a promise here and understanding there. That's how a real revolution happens. Vimes from Night Watch. Yeah, from the City Watch. He's the leader of the City Watch, isn't he? Vimes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's organisation. That's what's needed to fight back. We've got the Good Law Project. Obviously, they're taking care of the law side of things, but when it comes to actually getting trans voices out there, we are really depleted. Most of the trans people that I know are quite quiet and shy and unassuming. Because a lot of cisgender twats, a lot of heterosexual cisgender twats, they mix up drag queens and trans women. They think they're the same thing. They're not. They don't understand that they're not. They think that Monty Python dressing up as women or the pantomime dame, they think that's the same thing as being a trans woman when it's not. And I think that we need to really hammer home in people's heads there is a difference. There is a difference there, because one is a man who is dressing as a woman and the other is a woman. Which is made really clear in the movie Priscilla, Queen in the Desert. And I know that there's a bit of transphobia in there, which is sometimes played to comedy effect. But it is, I mean, I watched Priscilla again for the first time in absolutely ages. I fucking cried. Honestly, I cried at the end of that movie. Such great performances. Terence Stamp, Guy Pearce, and Hugo Weaving. Fucking brilliant. And yes, there are problematic scenes that would be seen as a bit racist now. But yeah, apparently they made a sequel and Terence Stamp filmed all his scenes before he died. So I guess that'll be coming out. Again, Gallifreyan Wren, what allies? Nobody but you and David Tennant are showing up for us. Well, this is it, Gallifreyan Wren. So let's make a plan. Let's make a plan to start collecting allies before we go and march on Parliament, right? Let's make a plan to start collecting allies. Should we do this? Let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. Concentrate on getting people on sides, get them to join in and say, look, we really, really need your help on this. We'll try and identify people who have a friend or a loved one who's trans, who is concerned about the way things are going, and get them to get on side, to actually make some fuss about this. Because it's got to be a priority. It's got to be a priority. Because it is the one thing. I mean, there's lots of things going wrong around the world right now, but it's the one thing in this country where a group is being systematically discriminated against, and no one's fucking stepping up for them. What was it? 18,000 negative stories about trans people in the last few years in the fucking shit old tabloids. 18,000. It's like worked out at like 3 stories a day, slagging off transgender people. Why? Well, because they're paid to do it, aren't they? We need to include the hypospadias community. They may not know they are trans. It's 1.7% of all births. Yeah. Well, also, I mean, so there are misconceptions about trans people that I think need addressing. Absolutely need addressing. I think a big one is the difference between trans people and drag queens, and also people, again, just like with homosexuality back in the 80s when I was growing up, being gay meant that you were a deviant, right? And it was a kink. It wasn't who you were. It wasn't a lifestyle. It was just a kink. It was just a peculiarity, and it's not. It's who people are, right? And that war has been won for gays and lesbians, but it hasn't been won for trans people. There's people out there who think that trans people are either just a kink, or the only reason why they would ever respond positively to a trans person is because they have a kink. And that's disgraceful. You can't reduce someone's entire persona, their life story, who they are, their very essence, down to, it's just a sexual kink. That is. It's not. It is not. It's so much more than that. But yeah, getting these messages out to people. And I think, that that attitude that people had about gay people. I know some people still have this attitude, but certainly my dad's generation. So my dad was a bit older, so he's not a boomer. He was part of the silent generation. He was born in the 30s. And a lot of people of his generation who aren't religious in any way, shape, or form, violently homophobic, like ridiculously so. Like a gay person would come on the telly and they'll turn the telly off. Oh, a gay person on my telly. Rah, 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 rah. Although they wouldn't use the word gay, they use something much more derogatory. And in their heads, there was no difference between gay people and paedophiles. In their heads, they think, well, they're a deviant, so they'll do anything. They'll fuck animals. They'll rape children. And it's taken a long fucking time to get that horrible idea out of people's heads. And people who used to think that way are fucking ashamed now that they used to think that way. And I'm sure in 10, 20 years' time, the people who are mad fucking rabid transphobes now will feel ashamed that they ever thought that there was a problem with people being trans. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet by a long, long chalk. But yeah, a corrupt man in the good world or a good man in the corrupt one, the equation comes out the same way. The world does not deal well with those who don't pick a side. Yeah. Witchy Goth, gotta go. Gotta put yourself first. My painkillers are kicking in on my tooth. Can't wait for the dentist tomorrow. Oh, good luck with the dentist tomorrow, Witchy Goth. You take care. I hate how the media stirs up so much hatred against certain demographics in society. We need to redefine or even get rid of the freedom of the press bullshit. Yes. Yeah, it should be fucking illegal. It should be illegal to go after minorities in this way because it's causing deaths. And the most shocking statistic, and this is a few years ago now, it's probably worse now. Shocking statistic drawn from a massive study of trans people in America found that 50% of young trans people had attempted suicide. 50 fucking percent. I mean, you want to talk about vulnerable communities. Vulnerable communities. There you go. There you go. And these fucking transphobes sitting there going, oh, well, they're not really trans. It doesn't exist. They're just autistic. They're just confused. It's just a kink. Fuck off. You know, if you don't like trans people, don't be trans. It's fine. No one's going to fucking force you to change your gender or make you live your life as a different gender. But you know what? If they were forced to do that, maybe they'll understand what it's like to feel like you're in the wrong body. Maybe then they'll understand what it's like to have to live your life pretending you're something that you're not. Until you get the gender affirming care that you need. They talk about gender affirming care like it's a bad thing. Hey boys, you know Viagra? That's gender affirming care, mate. Hey girls, you know boob jobs? Yeah, gender affirming care. That is gender right there. That's a gender affirming care thing that you've done there. So when a woman with a boob job says, "Oh, you know, these trans people," grrr. And who was it in Parliament? Was it there was a woman in was she in Parliament or was it in America? There was some parliamentarian, it might have been in America or the UK, and she was an absolute rabid transphobe. And oh my God. I'm sorry, if someone, honestly, tell me if this is the wrong thing to say, all right? Honestly, I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to piss anyone off. And I know that there's a big issue in the trans community about passing and how unfair it is and how if you got, if you had access to puberty blockers at a younger age, it might have been easier for you and et cetera, right? I get all that. But can I just say, right, and tell me, you can call me a cunt for saying this, right? But fuck me. This woman, this mad fucking swivel-eyed transphobe looked clocky as fuck. Like, I'm like, but you're just making your own life more difficult, you fucking idiot. Because you're going to walk into the bogs and someone's going to look at you and go, I think that you are trans. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you a fucking idiot? Do they look in the mirror? These fucking hideous transphobes. Do they look in the mirror and go, oh, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most feminine looking of them all? Do they? And they go after cisgender women. They go after cisgender women and transvestigate them, like the boxer from Amani Khalif from Algeria, and say, "Oh, she's trans." And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Why are you even saying that? She's not. But if she was, she could get put in jail or worse for that in her country. It's fucking illegal, you stupid twat. You know, like, it's like outing someone from a country who comes from Iran or comes and lives in Saudi Arabia. What, are you trying to get them hung? You stupid twat. What are you doing? Oh, fucking anyway. Gay or trans, they're no different to other friends. I hug my male and female friends. If they're comfortable with, it's all the same. Yeah. Lee says, I'm catching up from the start, so apologies for the out of context comments, but Burnham needs to be careful with the Manchesterism. North Manchester is North Manchester, and he needs to bring the whole country along. Well, no, he did talk about that. He did talk about this is going to be other places, but there were a bunch of places he didn't mention, and they were listed. He didn't mention Liverpool, although he did mention Steve Rotherham, who was there. To all my trans friends, I stand with you as an ally in this dystopian timeline. Says Pretty Kate Machine. Fantastic. Thank you, Kate. People need to live their own lives and let trans people live theirs. Says Alvone. Yeah. Yeah. What's it got to do with anyone else? What has it got to do with anyone else? Is it hurting anyone? No. What's the problem? But the same people who are freaking out about, kids being trans, which some kids are, and the same people who are freaking out that in 75 years' time, there might be more people who aren't white in this country than there are people who are white in this country. The fact that we're going to all be underwater by then doesn't faze them at all. They don't think that's true. They don't think that's real. Michelle Obama is a perfect example of using trans as a weapon. Yeah. I'm like, I mean, on the transphobic side, I'm sorry, but there are women who are as cocky as fuck. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That's really offensive, and I shouldn't be saying that. But Michelle Obama is not. She's a good-looking woman. But even if she wasn't, who cares? Whatever. Who gives a fuck? What's it got to do with anyone? And also, how did the trans woman manage to have 2 kids? Don't know. Marvel of medical science, that one. Sadly, a lot of my older neighbours are very homophobic. If I've been called some really horrific things in the past. Yeah. I think we all need to watch TikTok. Because it shows what can happen when people get radicalized online with just all the bullshit that they're watching online, Elle says they screwed themselves. It's written in the guidance that the public can't challenge, so carry on. If they challenge, pull the personal alarm. You're gonna drown them out. Lock yourself in and pee. Richie, my current dentist is currently pushing me to have dental implants privately, of course. That's going to be expensive, isn't it? And when are you paying? More Patrick, a quote. What harm can it do to find out? It's a cue that left bruises down the centuries, even more than it can't hurt if it only takes one, and it's okay if you do it standing up. Well, the far right hate women with coloured hair and nose piercings, so the threats I've had, nowhere near what you have experienced, will be in the same tense as the witchy goth. I've been going to the same dentist since 1992. 2 owner and first went to Oz. Current and a woman and great dentist have to pay $35 per calendar month now, not NHS anymore. Can't stop progression, but the knuckle draggers try. Fuck them, keep fighting to be the person that you are. Little shop of horrors, little shop, says Pretty Hate Machine. You'll be a dentist. I think it's utterly unacceptable to deny another person happiness because you're uncomfortable with their choices. Yeah. I mean, they're not hurting anyone. If their choice is to be a serial killer, then fair enough. I mean, come on. Anyway. Okay, so next up on the next story I've got for you today is about England will appoint a maternity and neonatal commissioner. This is after Valerie Amos's review found childbirth care still needs urgent reform. The commissioner will pursue hospitals over repeated failures and co-chair a national maternity and neonatal task force and health secretary. Do you know how many people died in childbirth last year in Norway? No one. Nobody died. Because the neonatal care is fucking fantastic. The America, hundreds of people every year. Hundreds of people die in childbirth every year. And now we've got these fucking nutters, these stupid, twatty, fucking conservative, gobshite idiots who didn't pay any attention in school, who are doing something called free birth, which requires them to not take any drugs and not have a midwife and give birth in your house. Because they don't understand that 150 years ago, every single motherfucking birth out of every single woman in the motherfucking world ended with either the death of the baby or the death of the mother. Because it's one of the most dangerous things you can do in life, is giving fucking birth. But, you know, we're going to do it. We're going to do it on our own homes, on our own terms. And Jesus. But yeah, Amos found poor care, failures to listen to women, racism, discrimination, and avoidable harm in the system. Black women way more likely than white women to die giving birth in this country. In 2026. Blows my fucking mind. Her recommendations include urgent reform of maternity triage, independent investigations for families, and replacing the current compensation process. Stillbirth and neonatal deaths are still near record lows, but progress has stalled since 2020. It should be zero. It should be zero. The tech we've got right now, the care that we've got right now, I know now and again it's impossible to save a life, but I would like it to be so unusual for that to happen. For that it's basically unheard of for people to die in childbirth. But while people are still clinging on to the notion that Mother Nature doesn't want you dead, and that hospitals are underfunded, and there's an air of arrogance and misogyny and racism built into the system, institutional in the system, then we need, things need to be done. Things need to be done. I can't even, Lost Me, she says, can't even try to feel how it is for you, Ren, but whatever strength I have is yours and others who need it. Oh, big hugs to Ren. I'm tired of every waking moment being a fight against people who just don't care, and I'm fed up of people who are supposed to be on my side not showing the F up. Quote Nia Moller here. Yeah, Night Moller, sorry. Yeah, Gallifrey, man, I understand you are tired, but just know that this little corner of the internet has got your back, and it's got the back of the trans community, and we've built somewhere here where we don't get trolls, we don't get the gobshites coming on saying horrific, homophobic, transphobic shit, racist shit, misogynistic shit. We don't get it, and if we do, our wonderful mods, One Angry Pagan, Diz, Regan Elise, and others, they just stamp on them like the cockroaches they are. But yeah, know that this is a little safe place that we can all come together each morning and have a chat about what's going on in the news. We've got some more quotes from One Angry Pagan. Is One Angry Pagan sitting there with all his Terry Pratchett books going? Tell someone you're going to rob them, and all that happened was you got a reputation as a truthful man. Yeah, that's very true. NHS nurses have always failed to treat black women's reports of pain with the gravity it deserves. Yes, but also male GPs have a real bad track record of not taking women's pain seriously. They just say, "Oh, you're on your period." Huge problem there. And I think we need to get realistic about, when I was born, my mum spent a week in the hospital because that was just normal in the 1970s. You spent a week in hospital after giving birth. Now, you're kicked out of the hospital within 24 hours of giving birth. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? What the what? I don't think it's impressed enough on first-time parents just how dangerous childbirth is. and how we've made it safe through medical intervention. But if something goes wrong, what are you going to do? You know, if it's a breech birth, if the baby comes out, not breathing, or the umbilical cord tied around its neck, what are you going to do? You're not a nurse, you're not a doctor, you're not trained, you're a midwife. You don't know what the fuck to do in those situations. More trans mods, Graham. I volunteer. I've got my MVQ in modding. Well, if you want a mod, that's fine. I shall make you a mod. There you go. There you go. L is now our latest mod. There you go. We've got a trans mod in there. We've got I have zero tolerance for bigoted idiots. If you come onto my stream and I'm modding and start attacking the community, it's an instant ban. Do not pass go and do not collect £200. Yeah. Surely it's a master's degree you've got, says Bitty Cake Machine. But yeah, no, with great responsibility comes great power, or something like that. So use it well, Al, and don't be. You got a little shield after your name now. You're in Diz's little group. Just don't. If it's a regular on here and someone's having a bit of a row, don't ban them from the channel. All right, just mute them for a little bit if they're being a bit out of order till the end of the show. Viper Scott, £2 super chat. Yay! We're a fifth of the way on the way to Boba Fetty. I stand by the trans community. Hugs to anyone, and lots of hugs from Viper Scott. Oh, it's really nice. Gallifrey, I'm not saying any of this for sympathy. I keep banging the drum in the vain hope that someone out there will hear Gondor calling for aid and finally choose to bloody answer. Yeah, that's all you can do at the moment. That's all you can do, and you're doing it, and that's what matters. And there is small stuff, there is small things, but I think writing to my MP, maybe my MP would have signed the early day motion against the transphobic guidance. Anyway, I don't know, but I tried to do my thing. I spoke to her at Pride. I sent her a message, she seems to have taken what people have said on board. I'm sure other people spoke to her. Other people, said this will be, something that I think you should sign. But going forward, there's going to be more fights, and it's shit. It's shit that you have to fight. I mean, it's bad not that you had to fight for your right to party. Never mind your right to fucking exist or go for a fucking piss in the fucking toilet. Jesus Christ. All the things going on in the world right now, the war in Ukraine, the genocide in Gaza, the climate changing, 44 degrees in fucking France, hotter than the Sahara Desert, the flooding, the earthquakes, the landslides, the fucking cats and dogs living together, and you're choosing to go, I need to police the toilet in me local fucking Happy Shopper. What? Why? Oh, because it's very important. Very, very important. Most important thing in life right now. Fucking some people need to get their priorities fucking sorted out, I swear. Anyway, let's talk about living standards. So Reuters reporting today that the UK economy grew by 0.6% in the first quarter of 2026, in line with the earlier Office of National Statistics estimate. But meanwhile, the real household disposable income has fallen by 0.8% over the same period. Pay, property, and income are a mixed income rose, but they were outweighed by higher taxes on income and wealth and a lower social net contributions. Household savings ratio fell from 9.6% to 8.9%, showing less room for people to put money aside. And the UK's 0.6% quarterly GDP growth was the fastest in the G7 for the first quarter, narrowly ahead of the US and Japan. But do you know what? Growth's a bit of a fucking con. Growth's a bit of a con. Because, yeah, we did better in one quarter because maybe we were coming from a lower base. If your economy is worth $17 trillion and you add 1% to that, that's a fuckload of money. But it's only 1%. It only sounds small, but it's not. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's a ridiculous sum of money. Ridiculous. It's over $1 billion you've added to your economy. Was it 17 billion more? 170 billion? I don't know. It's fuckloads, right? 1%. Fucking fuckloads. If you're living in, I don't know, fucking Suriname and you've got one potato and then the next day you got two potato, well, fucking done. Your economy has risen by 100%. And this is what the Brexiters did. Do you remember this? This is another little dirty trick that they played. They went, look at Bangladesh. They have a growth rate of 17.5%. And you're like, oh, well done, 17.5%. That's massive. But it's 70%, 17.5% coming from a very, very, very low base. You know, that's the sound of a country getting to its feet and dusting itself down. It's not the sound of a country that is ready to trade with us on the same level as equals when it comes to the economy. Not by a long chalk, mate. But they went, oh, we got to trade with these countries, and Burma and Nepal and Bolivia and Brunei, and well, Brunei's quite rich actually because of all the oil. But these other countries. It's like, look at their interest. Look at how fast they're growing. They're growing so fast. And it was just a trick of statistics to say, oh, I got a huge growth rate. Yeah, but it's coming from a very low base. They had one potato yesterday, and today they got two. Breaking news from Chris C. Alleged Epstein victim and Trump accuser living in fear of retaliation. Relative says, which doesn't surprise me because Trump is the most powerful man in the world, and he's a massive fucking pedo. The wealthy do better, and that's growth. But hey, let's fuck the rest of us. We won't matter. Yeah. One Aggie Pagan says, the first of two shrinks I saw when I lived in Plymouth tried telling me that pagan beliefs were part of my mental problems. I was pissed considering she said she was a Muslim. Oh my God. Oh my God, pagan, what the fuck? I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at that situation because that's fucking ridiculous. It's like, hello, what? Did your invisible friend in the sky tell you to say that to me? Fucking hell. Mate, that is some hypocrisy right there. Anyway, Harvey Places, Richie, I both same home at one point for 4 years. It was meant to be best in borough. I hated it. Where's this? Where are we talking about here? Elle says, I model the channels, Graham. I've experienced. I do you proud. Sorry, pride always comes with the trans flag with me. Well, I put proud. I'm waffling. That's all good. You can waffle all you like, my friend. Thank you, Elle. And there's a little unicorn there. Oh, lovely. Love a little unicorn. UK house builders face 4.5 billion class action over house prices. Boldscott says, it's safe to assume there are many victims that will only tell their story after Trump is dead. Yeah. The hypocrisy is insane, Graham. That is why I sought out a second shrink. Yeah, I thought shrinks were supposed to listen rather than cast aspersions. Anyway, so energy. Let's talk about the energy price cap and metering. So the energy price cap rises tomorrow, and households without smart meters are being urged to submit readings today. So if you don't have a smart meter, this is your public information, thing, film, whatever message. Go and get a reading. The Guardian says about 5.3 million households on standard tariffs without smart meters risk having some June usage billed at a new higher rate. Ofgem's cap rises by 13% tomorrow, taking the average gas and electricity bill to £1,862. If you're on a low income, that's almost a fifth of what you earn in a year. That's way more than I'm going to earn this month on this channel. Fucking hell. Direct debit electricity unit rates rise from £24 pounds and 67 pence to £26 and 11 pence per kilowatt hour, and gas is up as well from £5. It's not for 24. What the fuck am I talking about? £24 per kilowatt hour. Jesus Christ. You'd have a bill in the tens of thousands. 24.67 pence. Sorry, it's just written very well on my notes. It's moving from 24 pence to 26 pence, and the gas rise is going from 5 pence to 7 pence, effectively. Uswitch says that 27 fixed deals are currently cheaper than the July cap. So have a look at Uswitch. Also have a look at Martin's Money Saving Experts if you want to switch at this point. The cost of rewiring Britain's electricity network through the 2030s could reach £89 billion. The previous estimate from the energy system operator was 58 billion, making the new figure about 50% higher. This is NESO, says the increase reflects clean power targets, rising electricity demand, inflation, and faster rollout of low carbon projects. And here's where I do have a real issue with the Greens, because they want to bury all the cables. Yeah, it's going to cost £90 billion to put these cables up to enable the green revolution, right? And that's putting them on pylons. You want to put them in the ground, you're going to increase the cost of that threefold. You're talking 300 billion easily to fucking do that. You're going to dig up every single fucking street in the country. You're going to dig up all across the land. You're going to dig up across the Pennines, dig up across the Brecon Beacons. What the fuck? What are you even thinking about? I'm sorry, but shut the fuck up. It's not going to happen. It's an electricity cable. I don't want an underground. Because you know what happens if a JCB that's digging out the foundations for a house in 50 years' time hits the fucking electricity cable? Or some nan is gardening in a back garden with a little trowel and she hits an electricity cable with 40,000 fucking volts going through it. Do you know what's going to happen? Do you know what's going to fucking happen if you just... Jesus. Yeah, that really pisses me off. That there's a few things the Greens have in their, not manifesto, but in their, some of the things that they want to do. And I'm like, mate, no, don't be NIMBY about this. Let's just get it done. Let's get the green revolution done. And then in 50 years down the line, we can bury the fucking cables when we've got a bit of money. But right now, we need to get these cables up. We need to get a new grid put in that's going to be decentralized. Yes. And then we can have electricity coming into our cars and then building up in our batteries, 30 million batteries across the country. And then when the electricity supply isn't as high as it was because we're relying on solar, we're relying on wind power, we'll be able to suck that energy out of the cars and pay the people who have stored it for us. Imagine being paid to have an electric car. Imagine it not being like £3 to get to Liverpool. Imagine actually getting £3 to go to Liverpool. High voltage power cables are not suited for underground. Yes, Chris C, I know. And the cost is just insane. It's absolutely insane. But this is the same thing that happened with HS2, which the Greens did not support. I'm sorry, there's some Greens who watch this, and I'm not having a go. It's just a few things that bother me about the Greens. They didn't support HS2. And it's like, but it's green. Yeah, but the going for the countryside needs to be in a tunnel. Okay, it's not going to get finished if you put it all in tunnels, because we'll run out of money like that. Because it costs so much more to put things in tunnels. I'd like to put all the fucking roads in tunnels. All the roads going into city centres, put them in the fucking tunnel. Put a park on top. Put a park, put some trees, put some picnic benches, put a fucking park on top. Coming out the going into the M62. It's a big fucking dome. Put the cars underground. No flyovers anymore, just underground. That's it. No more flyovers. Put it all underground. Put a park on top. Thank you. And you can do that now because as cars move more and more towards electric, it's going to be less of a bother with the fumes in the tunnels, so we can have more tunnels. But they won't do that for cars. I mean, cars, everything's got to bow down at the fucking altar of the fucking car, don't they? Why do we never hear about the green belt when we're talking about cars? Have you noticed that? They want to do an extension to a motorway. They want to add the M6 toll. Does anyone come out and say, oh, but what about the green belt? Why are you building on the green belt? All our motorways go through green belt land. We get way more fucking pollution than a few houses. Cutting off, severing the wildlife that needs to get from one side of the motorway to the other. Cutting the country off into little sections. Why? Don't know. Green is always aesthetics using habits and NIMBY reasoning. Yeah. Look, I've got to put my cards on the table here. I had a bad experience at university with some Greens. And it's kind of soured my attitude towards them. And I know here we are, like, 25 years later, shouldn't care anymore. But it was a bit shit. It was a bit shit. And they came across to me in university as posh kids who wanted to rebel against their parents but couldn't bring themselves to vote for Labour. It was a bit like that. It was a bit like that. I know that's not everyone, by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't mean to offend anyone who votes for the Greens. I've voted for the Greens. I've voted for the Greens in the last locals. I voted for the Greens, and thankfully we've got a couple of Green councillors in this area. Yay! Yeah, I've got a few problems. But then again, I've got a few problems at Labour, mate. So got a lot of problems at Labour at the moment. This was a confession. G was beating up hippies. Says Andy. No, it's kind of the other way round, really. Yeah. Anyway. It's all good. It's all good, my friends. It's all good. So, where were we? Yeah. So the plan recommends. This is about the electricity. The plan recommends 43 network projects for the 2030s, including 16 not in the 2024 forecast. That's why the price has gone up. So fair enough. The government's clean power target includes doubling offshore wind, tripling solar, and quadrupling doubling onshore wind and quadrupling offshore wind capacity by 2030, which I think they'll do because the Dogger Bank, which is coming online in the next 18 months or so, is going to be a fucking powerhouse. It's going to be 5% of all our energy needs for the entire country, which is a ridiculous amount of energy. And that's going to be 3 areas in the Dogger Bank that have got the wind turbines that are coming online next year, later this year, one of them actually, and then the other 2 are next year. And there's a fourth area which has been earmarked for another one, and that's going to be even bigger than not the 3 put together, but it's going to be bigger than the 3 that exist. I've seen people kicking off about additional telephone poles being installed on their street to support full fibre rollout. Yeah. My image of Greens comes from lived in Germany, mostly positive, so that's good. Sarah says, I hate NIMBYs. They'll never face being homeless or not being able to find a home. Yes. And I don't understand why we can't build on the green belt. I'm sorry, I'm just going to put this out there. The way that cities grow can be managed in a way, right? And if you've got an artery, a road going out of a city, right? I don't really have a problem with building stuff nearby it, even if it's on Greenland. I do have a problem with a city growing out like this, and so it just all becomes concrete. You've got a concrete circle that just keeps growing, I don't want that. But then if you've got little arteries coming off, a bit like my t-shirt here, little arteries coming off from the centre anyway, and you build a little bit of habitation along there, I don't really have a problem with it. Do the people who live in little villages, do the people who live in Kirkby Stephen or live in, Staindrop or Barnard Castle, do they like cars using their little village as a thoroughfare to get through? No. But that we forced that situation because of the green belt. Force cars to go through these little villages, which they don't enjoy. I'm pretty sure they don't enjoy. As much as they don't enjoy it when a load of really noisy bikers turn up in a big biker pack to make loads of fucking noise in their quiet, sleepy village on a sunny, sleepy Sunday afternoon. Telling you, when I'm in charge, there's going to be a noise pollution act, and those motorbikes are going to be silent. They go, yeah, it's fine. You go off. You meet up in the little village and go to the pub. It's fine. I don't care. Don't get drunk. But no, don't be making so much fucking noise in a little village. It's a little bit rude. It's rude, okay? Probably some bikers watching this going, fuck off, Graham. I like making noise in a little village on a sleepy Sunday afternoon. Rah, 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 rah. But, it's not great. Unfortunately, the Greens tend to be NIMBYs, which doesn't help when there's a shortage of housing and brownfield sites to build on. One of your pagan says, Green supporters down here are usually more interested in the sewage being pumped into the streams, rivers and bays. I know Greens in Somerset are pretty NIMBY though. Yeah. Well, look, this is the impression that we get out of some NIMBY, of some Greens. I think they should go some way to dispel that notion. But yeah, the Greens come across to me, like I said, about refuck or reform or whatever they're called. They're more like a pressure group, which is fine. You know, the political wing of Greenpeace. Okay, yeah, I can get that. I can get on board with that. And that's fine. I have no problem with it whatsoever. And I think that it's good that we have a party that is putting green issues first. You know, however they do it, it's fine. It's up to them, right? What I am feeling a little bit about is people seriously talking about Zach Polanski being the next Prime Minister and the Greens winning the next election. And I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. I've got to be completely fucking honest with you here. It's not going to happen. If it does happen, I will literally eat this hat. I will eat this motherfucking hat. And the reason I'm saying it's not going to happen isn't because I disagree with necessarily with what the Greens want to do or whatever. It is that they simply do not have the money. They do not have the money. If they can pool all their volunteers and resources into one constituency, like in South Manchester, then fair enough, you know, they'll be able to get a Green candidate in. But across all 650 parliamentary seats, they just can't. And it's sad that our political system is stacked this way, but you need money. You just need money to get people on side. But yeah, I want them to be able to push Labour in a more progressive direction. I think Zach Polanski's done a good job of that. Like I say, I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with the Greens in general. Obviously, you know, just stuff that's going on. Oh, what news is breaking? Breaking news. It's a defence plan. Okay. So breaking news. We knew that was going to happen. News that we knew was going to happen. Green's best hope is to try and be a conscience for Labour. Yeah, Andy, completely agree. And that's why I say, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, they shouldn't be in Parliament. They shouldn't be, like, I'm just saying, like, they exist and they do a good job of what they're doing. And I have no problem with that. I take issue with the idea that they could be the next government. They literally can't. There is no conceivable way. You know, what are the odds? Let's have what are the odds on the Greens winning next GE? Next game. No, GE, general election. Oh, God, do you not get... general election in there. This is all polls. Green minimum seats. Green seats. Opinion polling. I don't care about opinion polling. It doesn't matter. I want the odds. What are the betting? What are the betting odds? UK general election odds and betting. So, next general election. Yeah. I thought the odds would be longer than that, but whatever. The no overall majority at the moment will pay you 1 to 2, so you get 50% if you're stake back. That's most probable. Labour majority is on 5 to 1. Refuck majority is on 13 to 2, which is 6.5 to 1. So if you bet £1, you get £6.50 back. If Labour win, you get a fiver back. Conservative majority is 8 to 1, so you get £8 back. So you put £100 down, you get £800 back. Restore Britain is 18 to 1. Like, that seems like outside the realms of feasibility. The Greens are on 33 to 1. So if you bet £100, you'll get £3,300 back. The Lib Dems majority, 100 to 1. That's why if they had the Green Party, I would have put them at 100 to 1 as well. But I don't know, 33 to 1. I suppose they're attractive odds to try and just, put a little bit of a flutter down. But yeah, if they had to pay that out, I'd be very, very surprised. Look at this, right? So the Green Party majority, latest betting on Paddy Power, 33 to 1. Lib Dems on 100 to 1. It's a very, very long shot. It is a very, very, very long shot, and it's interesting that Lib Dems majority is so long. It's 100 to 1 when they are an established party, a lot more established than the Greens are in terms of being in Parliament, also being part of the government in the coalition from 2010 to 2015, and they're at 100 to 1. Yeah, I think things are going to change in the betting odds when. Let's come back in a year's time and see how things are going. Let's have a look at the odds checker. The odds checker. Let's have a look. British politics. Most seats. Overall majority. That's given a Labour majority of 11 to 2, which is 5.5 to 1. On Parliament, it's looking the most likely thing is overall majority. Overall majority. Let's have a look. So Green overall majority. Yeah. 33 to 1 from some, 40 from others, 50 to 1 from Ladbrokes. Star Sports are giving 66 to 1, and Betfair for the Green majority is giving 77 to 1. Hey, listen, good rate of return, but one of the ways that you can see who's going to win the next election, just look at what the bookies are saying, because they got people on this. They don't want to lose money, do they? Overton window needs to, like the cha-cha slide to the left. Yes, it does. Greens winning seems closer. Leicester winning the Premier League in 2016. Yeah, but it's the money. It's the money. It's the money issue, which Farage doesn't. He doesn't have the money issue because he's got as much money as he likes. That Christopher Harborne, the sugar daddy for refuck, has now got himself an address in the UK. He's bought a house in the UK, so now he can get around the I think it's 50 grand maximum. He's getting around that now by saying, well, I'm in the UK, so I can give as much as I like. So Labour really needs to come down on that. I think that any individual donation shouldn't be any more than £1,000. And that protects Labour as well, because a lot of Labour's money comes from union subs. My councillor's a refuck moron, and my Labour MP never responds to pretty much given up. I mean, there are decent speeds, but I'm one of these tech geeks that likes to keep up with the time, says Chris C. Hey, I've got to say, my Green councillors are great. Like I say, I'm not saying that the Greens shouldn't exist, or they shouldn't keep fighting, or they shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they can't win the next election. So if your mission is to keep refuck out in the next election, vote tactically. Absolutely vote tactically. And if Greens look like they're going to win in your constituency, please vote for the Greens. But if it's the Lib Dems, please vote for the Lib Dems. If it's fucking Labour, please hold your nose and vote for fucking Labour. Because do you think it's bad now? What Farage wants to do to this country is absolutely abominable. He wants to go door to door and literally throw people out of a country that they were born in for having the wrong colour skin. Yeah. Harborne, who is accused of laundering money for Putin and North Korea by the National Crime Agency. Yes, he has laundered money for them. There's no doubt about it. He has laundered money for those motherfuckers. He has enough money to never have the charges stick. Yeah. Greens need to get their chance of winning to be exactly 1,000,000 to 1. Then they will get 9 times out of 10. Greens might get 25 to 35 seats. Burnham might win a slender majority, but also invite input from the Greens and Lib Dems in making policy. Well, Peter paints a lot. Yeah, I think he's going to do that now. I don't think he's going to wait for the general election to do that. I think he's going to bring some Greens and some Lib Dems in. He's already talked about doing cross-party stuff already. I that's a really good step in the right direction. Because it neuters them. I mean, just from a sort of hard-ass political point of view, it's better to have them in the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in. Well, what do you want? Okay, what's your thing? Okay, we really want to get the rivers clean. Okay, going to put you in charge of that. You go ahead, get the rivers clean, and you can put up signs all over where you did it and say, we cleaned up this river with the Green Party. Whoop-de-doo. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would do. Get them on side. As the planet dies, the Greens will become more popular, says Black Dot Dot. I would like to hope. I would hope that was the case. I really would. But, last week we saw these fucking idiots going, oh, I survived the heat wave and I didn't die because I'm not a moron. And then they go on about how climate change isn't real. And they say, oh, we've had hot periods in the past. We've had hot periods, we've had cold periods. It's just a cyclical thing. How do you know that? How do you know that? Scientists say. Oh, okay, so you believe the scientists when it's stuff that you want to believe. You believe science when it's convenient for you. When it's inconvenient and a bit scary. Oh, I don't believe it. It's not true. You're just making it up. Yeah. There are two main types of tribalism: competitive tribalism and cooperative tribalism. It's just that most consider the latter to be a thing, despite don't consider the latter to be a thing, despite historical precedent. Yeah. Farage wants to turn us into a US state with him as the governor. He just wants to make money. He couldn't give a fuck about any of us, really. He just wants to make money. Just like Trump, he just wants to make money. Fuck's sake, Trump is set to give Starmer a hard time next week over the defence spending. I really hope Burnham sticks two fingers up at Trump and tells him to do well. Well, we say that, and then the argument is made, but we've got to keep him on side. But then the counter argument is made by me now, just to say, well, last week Trump threatened 100% tariffs on the UK and the European Union. And everyone just went, whatever. Honestly, the bond markets didn't shift. The Wall Street didn't crash. Nothing happened. Everyone just went, okay. Whatever you say, senile old twat. Anyway, moving on. So we're talking about the tripling solar and quadrupling offshore wind capacity. Fucking brilliant. Fucking do it. This is the green revolution that we need. Labour, fucking do it. Okay, so next up we've got food price inflation. The food price inflation slowed to 2.4% in June, the lowest level since March. Fresh food inflation fell from 3.4% in May to to 2.8% in June, and they're linking it to bumper strawberry crops, ice cream promotions, and summer offers. Although the overall shop price inflation has stayed unchanged at 1.2%, which isn't bad. The BRC still warned, the British Retail Consortium still warned of pressure from national insurance, packaging taxes, extreme weather, and geopolitical tensions. But the economic ship is fairly steady at the moment. It's not great. It could be better. We could have not Brexited, but we're getting there. Mr. T says, hope when Burnham meets Trump and points to Greater Manchester on a map with its 3 million souls and shows not a fecking town. Well, he does that on purpose, doesn't he? Because he knows it needles people. Do you know what? I got into a fight once with this woman. I was out in Liverpool one night, and we were drinking, and we were chatting with the people next to us. And they asked me like why I live here. Do you know what I mean? After all me traveling or whatever, why I live in Liverpool, and I said because I love this town. Like from Ghostbusters. When Winston says, I love this town at the end of the movie. Do you remember that bit? I did the line impression of that. This woman took real exception of me saying, like, it's not a town, it's a city. I said, I'm just quoting from Ghostbusters, and he was talking about New York City, which is even more of a city than Liverpool is. You've got to argue what a city is. And he says, I love this town. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I'm getting on the bus, and I said, where are you going? Going to town. Get on the bus. Says the bus driver. Where are you going? Town. Which means to everyone in Liverpool, the city centre. But I'm not going to say city centre. I sound like a twat. I'm going to say town, because that's what we say. So when people say you can't call dinner tea, yes, you fucking can. Come on, you got to call them in for your tea. Come on, your tea's ready. We know that we don't mean a cup of tea. We know that they mean dinner. It's fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Anyway, yeah, towns and cities. I don't mind. Chris C, on that delightful note, I'm going to try and do stuff to stay away. Mine were being eaten by squirrels. What is going on here? Were the squirrels eating you nuts? Hope Burnham. Oh, right, my strawberries are being munched on by snails. Yeah, well, you got to feed the snails. Feeding snails never fails. Our media are such fools. They think that Trump is going to allow Starmer to become NATO Secretary General. Okay. Farage has a brilliant solution to end poverty in the UK. He wants us to all find a billionaire donor to give us £5 million. That's from Jenny. Chris says these particular neighbours are ultra conservative. Some of their views make me question humanity. Yeah. Tea today is big tuna and veg pasta pole. Yeah. Anyway, so where were we? We're talking about business confidence. Lloyd says that overall UK business confidence fell 3 points to just plus 44 in June, which isn't bad. I mean, it's not great, but it isn't bad. Confidence in the wider economy fell 4 points to plus 31, below the 12-month average of plus 38. Not fab, but, firms' optimism about their own trade prospects fell 2 points to plus 56, which is close to the 12-month average. Manufacturing confidence fell 10 points. Not great. Hiring intentions rose for the first time in 3 months, which is good. Meanwhile, Sainsbury's like-for-like sales, excluding fossil fuel, rose 2.1% in the 16 weeks up to June the 20th. And that was slower than the 3.1% growth in the previous quarter. But, the company is saying that the impact of the Middle East conflict on customers and the business remains uncertain. Meanwhile, racism and anti-migrant politics. Reuters spoke to Minority Britain's policy experts and 10 trade unions about reported increases in racist incidents. The Royal College of Nursing reported a 55% rise in workers experienced racial discrimination since 2022. And that's all down to the internet, Farage, fucking newspapers. The recent tensions have been linked to the Southport murder case, the Belfast disorder, and the political focus on immigration and crime. Police recorded hate crime in England and Wales has risen again. Racially motivated offences are up 6% to 82,490. During that same period, do you know how many trans women assaulted cisgender women in the bathrooms in this country? 0. Reuters reported that small boat arrivals have become a central flashpoint, even as overall net migration fell sharply in 2025. There's a new murder sentencing recommendations from the government coming in. The killers of current or former partners in England and Wales could face an extra 10 years in prison, which I absolutely welcome, and 100%. The new starting point would be 25 years minimum, up from the current 15-year starting point for many domestic murders. The change follows a 7-year campaign by the mothers of Ellie Gould, Poppy Davy Waterhouse, and Megan Newborough. The current sentencing structure often treats murders differently depending on whether the weapon was brought to the scene or already present in the house, and that changes the motivation. Whether you can say it was a spur of the moment thing or whether it was premeditated, which is important in getting a murder case. But this is all part of the Labour government's effort to protect women and girls, not trans women and girls though. So this should say let's say it as is, to protect cis women and girls. It's welcome that cisgender people are getting this, women are getting this defense, but can we have it for trans people as well? Can we have it for trans women as well, please? The mayor of New York made me laugh when he talks about Andy Burnham being an Everton fan. You have to respect someone that suffers. He's a Liverpool fan, isn't he? Is Mondami a Liverpool fan? Or is he Arsenal? Don't know. Someone look it up. Who's an Everton fan? No, who's a Liverpool fan? Trevor Noah's a Liverpool fan. John Oliver is a Liverpool fan. Mike Myers, he's a Liverpool fan. Yeah, you don't get too many Everton fans out there, do you? Unless you're born in Liverpool. Because they are removing the requirement for going equipped to be considered in the sentencing. Yeah. And obviously, if you're picking up a weapon in the house, it'll be just as premeditated. But why would you go out and get a weapon and bring it into the house when you've already got a weapon in the house? So yeah, that seems like Mondami is a gooner. Okay, Arsenal fan. I knew he was a fan of some British football club. But yeah, that's quite funny. You have to respect someone that suffers. Oh, you should respect me. So yes, the change is subject to consultation with the Sentencing Council, but I'm hoping that this comes in. Okay, let's look at this UCL report. It says blanket school smartphone bans are seen by many people as punitive rather than helpful. This survey was conducted across over 700 secondary school pupils aged 11 to 18. And also 27 teachers and 41 parents, which doesn't seem to be enough. 87% of teachers and 88% of parents supported the blanket ban. Well, 75% of pupils opposed it. Well, of course they did. In other news, water wet. The hot coffee, hot. Pupils said phones help with communication, safety, emotional regulation, organisation, travel, and homework apps. The report warned bans could push issues such as cyberbullying and sexual harassment underground, rather than making it easier to address. Well, no, because you still use your phone outside, and if someone's cyberbullying you, it should be reported straight away. We all respect you, Graham. Oh, thank you, Harry. That's a very nice thing to say. I don't know if everyone does, but thank you. Men are going equipped for sexual assault everywhere they go. It's very true. Very true. Jenny. Salford is a city with no centre. Well, there is a centre to Salford. It's called Manchester City Centre. Anyway, so yeah, I look, it's fine. I think the kids shouldn't have phones in the school. This is the situation we've got at the kids' school. You can use your phone once you're out of school. There's someone at the school gate, and they make sure that you don't use your phone in school. Once you step over the threshold outside, at the end of the day, you can text. Okay, next up, we've got the resident doctors deal, which I wanted to mention. So resident doctors, formerly young doctors, junior doctors, sorry, now they're called resident doctors, in England have voted to accept this government pay offer. The deal ends strike action that has cost the NHS £1 billion since last summer. It includes an average 6.6 pay uplift by April 2027 and 4,500 extra specialty training places over 3 years. The DHSC says resident doctors will be 35.2% higher on average. The pay will be 35.2% higher than average than 4 years ago when the Tories were in power. BMA referendum passed by 53% with 33,000 doctors voting and a 10 out of 57%. Finally, I'm going to be mentioning the US Supreme Court and Trump powers. The US Supreme Court has backed the firing of Trump's firing of the FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter in a 6-3 ruling that went straight down party lines. The ruling overturned the 1935 Humphreys executor precedent, which had limited presidential removal power over FTC commissioners. The court separately blocked Trump's attempts to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, leaving her in post while the case continues. And I'm rolling my eyes because the fact that this is coming to this is just punitive things done by Trump to try and get his own way. And it's why we should go after Farage. It's why we should absolutely go after Farage with everything that we've got. Because, yeah, it might not work, but give it a go. I think he should just be arrested. Phil was arguing with me on this one, saying, well, what's the evidence? Well, we know he's given $5 million from this crypto billionaire in Thailand. And we know that he then went into politics We know that he then not only put in his manifesto that he wanted to reduce the restrictions on crypto, he literally had a meeting with the actual fucking motherfucking Bank of England to implore them not to make their own stable coin based on the British pound, because that would devalue the stable coin that is owned by his mate who gave him the 5 million. Quid pro quo. That is bribery. And I don't give a fuck how many times he says, oh, but it was a gift, it was a gift, it was a gift. Doesn't matter. You can't just murder someone and say it wasn't murder. It was. No. I'm going to call it flouncing about. I was just flouncing about. That's all I was doing, is flouncing about. No, the person understood that I was flouncing about. I understood that I was flouncing about. It was, no. You can't just use fucking terminology to get away from the fact that this motherfucker, Nigel Farage, has committed a fucking serious fucking crime. Bribery in high office. He's the leader of a political party. At the time, he was the owner of a political party. Yeah. Anyway, so the court expanded executive power over most independent agencies while reserving specific protection for the Federal Reserve. So they reserved a little bit of protection for that, but otherwise Trump can just do what he motherfucking likes. So yeah, I want to just finish off by just talking about what the question is that I posed on the thumbnail of the show. At least, is Britain ready for the Burnham reset? Okay, and I would say that it's not just ready for a reset. I would say we are absolutely desperate for one, because the current governing model is failing on delivery, it's failing on trust, it's failing on living standards, it's failing on regional balance. Is it making people happy? Is it fuck? It's making the rich happy. They've got really rich out of it. But Burnham's pitches that there's too much decision-making is happening in London, whereas the effects of those decisions are felt most sharply in places that have the least amount of direct control. And the public has seen years of prime ministers changing without general elections, repeated policy churn, collapsing confidence in institutions, and a visible decline in public services. And, the UK economy can post figures saying, oh, yeah, the economy is growing. It's definitely growing. Oh, it's growing. It's growing by 0.7%. Woo! But the reality is that for most people, households feel poorer, This thing about growth, it just sounds abstract unless it appears in your wages, unless it helps you pay the bills, unless it allows you to get on the housing ladder or use public services. And or have public services offered to you. And moving is a part of Number 10's operation to Manchester. And we're not moving the fucking Parliament. We're not moving Whitehall. We're moving part of Number 10 to Manchester. In fact, part of Whitehall has already been moved. That's already happened. Part of the civil service has always been spread out across the country, actually. But do some more of that. That's great. It's fine. We don't all have to be in the same fucking office in fucking London. Because the problem is this, right? Come here, right? You employ someone in London, you got to pay him more money. Costs more to have people in London. He's actually going to be saving money by doing this. Got a lot of dickheads going, you're going to be doubling up on roles. No, you're not. You're going to be employing someone in Manchester and you have to pay them as much because the rent isn't as much in Manchester. It doesn't cost so much to get to work in Manchester. You don't get the London allowance. That London allowance is costing us, as the taxpayer, billions and billions of pounds every year to pay for civil servants to live in London. So, yeah. They shouldn't have grunted on about man flesh. They should have shouted ta-ra a bit. Man flesh? Man flesh. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. I love the idea that the Urukai went to restaurants and looked at menus. That's a comedy sketch for you. Urukai. The Urukai go to fucking sit down and have a meal at fucking... Who's that gobshite who makes idiot sandwiches on the telly? Harry, what's his name? The one who shouts at everyone. Harry Ramsden. No, he's the fish and chip guy. The Ramsay McDonald. That's the fella. Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. Have one of them, but it's a pair of orcs. But it's on the menu. what? Gordon Ramsay's there going, so what have you got on the menu? And they're like, meat. I just show the menu. It just says meat. It's back on the menu. But yeah, it'd be funny. Come on, let's do it. Let's do a little sketch. Little comedy sketch. Hey, listen. Peter Jackson might be making the Silmarillion. Now, I have no control over anything, but God, I'd love to write that. I'd love to write a TV show based on the Silmarillion. And here's how I would frame it, okay? I would set it at the end of the Third Age, the beginning of the Fourth Age. And the last magical beings are leaving Middle-earth to sail into the west, right? To sail to Valinor, which is actually in the sky. And you'll find out why in the Silmarillion. And I'd like to have it where they're traveling through and they go quite close to the Shire, and there's a couple of Hobbit children who have left the limits of the Shire, and they see these elves, these ethereal beings, glowing in light, walking through the forest. And they watch the elves set up camp, and they're sort of spying on them, and then they fall out the tree, and the elves behind them who knew they were there or something, and they march into the camp, and the elves are like, we're leaving Middle-earth because that's the end of Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings answers the age-old question of, where's all the magic gone? Why aren't there dragons? Why aren't there elves? What happened to them? Well, read Lord of the Rings and find out. Magic departed and left the world for men. They left the planet for men. And women, I suppose, and kids. Anyway, so the two Hobbit kids are then treated to a story. So you can frame it as a story. And there's a thing in the appendices of Lord of the Rings where they talk about this ability, and don't make it look too corny, but the ability for elves to make some kind of magic in a fire that allows images to appear in the fire. So you can work with that as they tell these different tales from the Silmarillion to the Hobbits, right? And because the Silmarillion is an anthology series, there's like hundreds, sometimes thousands of years between the chapters, right? It's not one straight story. It works beautifully for an anthology series of these individual stories set in Middle-earth, and you can always pull out at any moment where something needs to be explained, and you don't have to have the fucking characters turn up and say, as we know, you're my sister. Yes, and as we know, Morgoth has gone up this big tower and is hanging out there with his Cimmerals. Yeah, we don't need to have that, because you can have the elves explain this, and then you can actually have the images in the fire, and you can do the flashback to what happened and get into the drama. So if there's any kind of it's a narrative framing device, and it might be a bit cheap, might be a bit corny, but then you can have different waves of elves traveling through on the way to the Grey Havens, telling these stories. Like the elves that they meet in episode 1 give them an amulet, which means they're the friends of the elves or something, I don't fucking know. And then you have it all going all the way through until you finish off the whole of the Silmarillion. And then you could do the unfinished tales, you can do the Lost Road, you can do all this stuff, you do all those stories. And each episode can be a unique story, and just have that framing device, like Rod Sterling saying, now you enter the spooky door, or whatever it's called, the Twilight Zone. And then at the very end, the kids, they keep sneaking out to go and hear more stories from the elves, as time goes on. And then in the end, they go back, and it turns out they're the kids of Sean Astin. Bob, Bill, Sam. That's him, Samwise Gamgee. It's his kids. You didn't know that up to that point. Unless you were really observant and you knew the name of his kids. Anyway, there you go. So that's what I would do. Oh God, one angry pagan is in all caps. Look at that. Look at that. One angry pagan's really letting loose here. Yeah, Gandalf is not supposed to be there. If he's there in the first age, that makes sense. If he's there in the third age, that makes sense. Second age? Nah. Mithrandir is his name? I don't know. Fucking hell. Grand Elf. I got my name. Do you know what? Like, when I mentioned that about Lord of the Rings, right, being the answering the question, what happened to all the magic in the world, right? Which I think is brilliant, because most religions will end with, the gods are still there. But in this, no, they left. All the gods left. All the magical beings, they all left. They left us to it. Which makes so much more sense. But nobody ever sat there going, I wonder how Gandalf got his name. Oh, it's because they thought he was a big elf and they called him Grand Elf. What? What? No one ever sat there looking at Gandalf's staff and going, I wonder what the backstory is on that staff that he has. How did he get that staff? I don't give a fuck. No one gives a fuck. No one in the history of the world has ever given a fuck how Gandalf got his staff. No matter, or how Han Solo got his name. He turned up and he had to have a surname and he didn't have one, so he went, I'm on my own, so I'm going to call myself Solo. What? Who asked that question? Why was that a question that needed answering? Moana, the Disney film, Moana, it's a great film, lovely film. That answers the question, why did the Polynesian people stop? For 1,000 years, they just stopped. This was a great seafaring culture, and for thousands of years, they sailed the sea, all the way from what's now Taiwan to Rapa Nui to Easter Island, which is off the coast of fucking Chile, right? Thousands of miles of miles of the Pacific. And they managed to get to pretty much every bit of speck of land that was worth it. And then they just stopped. For 1,000 years, they just stopped seafaring. And then one day they started again. We got no idea why. So they wrote Moana based on this thing. They're like, why did they stop sailing? Well, it was because fucking Maui stole the bloody, the soul of Te Fiti. Obviously. The heart of Te Fiti. A wizard staff has a knob on the end. Yep, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that, a knob on the end. Reverend Caffey, effectively it's a story of the Ascension, given the Tolkien treatment and turned into a great big long book. I particularly enjoyed Random Film Talks Takedown. Wasn't Middle-earth story told to two Saxon princes that met in an elf in a cave or something? Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, I'm saying that as a framing device because I think it'd be very difficult, right, to try and get a narrative thread that goes through the whole of the Silmarillion. Like I say, it takes place over thousands of years, and just because there's a character in chapter 1, they're not going to be in chapter 2 or chapter 3 or further down the line. And there's individual stories, and there's characters come and go because obviously elves are immortal. But if you want to tell the story of Beren and Luthien, is it Luthien? I think something like that. Look, if you want to tell that story, that is best framed as like a 1 hour show where TV series. I don't think it would work as a movie. It's too disjointed. It's like trying to make the Bible the movie. It's like, what? Okay, you can take a bit of the Bible and say, we're going to make the story of Exodus. We're going to make the story of Genesis. We're going to make the story of this Job. Poor Job. But yeah, Gandalf's staff started off small, says War and Peace. He rubbed it, it grew, and went off in his hand. Occasionally that happens. Han Solo got his name because he really liked his own me time. Or maybe he was the son of Mr. Solo or the son of Mrs. Solo. I don't. When have you ever watched a movie and gone, I wonder how they got there? I mean, Indiana Jones, okay, it was the name of the dog, and he loved his dog, and he liked that name, and he didn't want to be called Henry because that was kind of geeky, and his dad was called Henry as well. Fair enough. Throw it in there as a joke. He was named after the dog. One thing I'll admit I really liked about Rings of Power, Moria was freaking fantastic. Yes, the bits with the dwarves was the best bit. If the whole show had just been the fucking dwarves, apart from that stupid bit at the end where they woke up the Balrog and fucking what's his name, Dorin or Dorin's dad, I don't know, the old one. Fucking jumps at the Balrog with his fucking hammer for some reason. With his axe, whatever. My axe! Maybe the son of Napoleon Solo off The Man from Uncle. I wonder how they got their name. They were named by the caretaker. Imagine reading like a historical event. And there's someone who's called Joe Bloggs who's involved in this historical event, and the thing that you really concentrate on is how they got the name Bloggs. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, does anyone study how Hitler got his name? It's because his fucking mum and dad were called bloody Mr. and Mrs. Hitler. That's how. Now we need to look at why do they call him Adolf? It was quite a common name in Germany at the time. Don't think it's so common these days. Jesus. But yes. So yeah, I'm glad you all like my idea of having Homer J. Simpson's middle name is brilliant. It's J. It is J. That's a good little pub quiz question, isn't it? What does the J stand for in Homer J. Simpson's name? It stands for J. Anyway, so moving back off Lord of the Rings, which we somehow got distracted by. But yeah, moving back to is Britain ready for the Burnham Revolution? Is it going to be a revolution? Or let's call it a reset. It's not revolution. Let's call it a reset. Control Alt Delete. The devolution angle in this, the moving apart of Number 10's operations in Manchester is symbolic. But there is a practical test here about departments and budgets and legal powers can actually move out of the Westminster bubble. But also you've got the argument that he's making about water, energy, transport, housing. These aren't fringe issues. These are daily life symptoms where if he fucks this up, that failure is very, very visible, very expensive, and very politically toxic. So he's taking a big risk here. He's not playing it safe. And if, we have a criticism of Starmer, and I'm sure we have quite a few, one of them is he played it too fucking safe. So I'm quite happy to see the Andy Burnham, the next Prime Minister, being bold. This is what we wanted, wasn't it? This is what we asked for, Starmer's given a speech about stronger, fairer Britain. Maybe we should be following this on here, but nah. My favourite trivia question: what is the first line of the Spanish national anthem? I will tell you what the first line of the Spanish national anthem is. It is. Yep, right, because there's no words to it. That's a trick question, my friend. It's like saying, who says lead on Macduff? Nobody. He says lay. He says lay on Macduff. God damn it. Was it the Indiana Jones stories that Han Solo dreamt of while he was in Carbonite? Probably. By the way, Graham, do you still want those Lord of the Rings minifigures? Says Pete Denkart. Yeah, that could be quite fun. I've still got some minifigures from back in the day, Pete. I've got these. Who was it? Was it the Tudor Mint? Was it the Tudor Mint? They made a series of pewter models of different characters from The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So I've got a bunch of them. I've got Shelob. She's terrifying. Terrifying Shelob. Mind you, Gandalf wasn't very wizardry. Never once cast fireball or magic missile. Yeah, but Gandalf's magic was bringing people together, bringing all the different races of Middle Earth together to fight the massive racist in Sauron. It wasn't really a massive racist because Sauron was the fella who brought together like loads of different races together to fight against the elves. The like Warhammer figures, yeah, that'll be boss man. If you don't want him, I'll have him. If you want to, go over to GrahamDavidHughes.com and there's a contact thing. Unless you got my email already, and just let me know. Tudor Mint, those guys who made the Dam Busters Tutankhamun clock plate. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure there was an advert for it in the Viz. Tutankhamun Dam Busters clock plate. So yeah, where were we? We were just talking about that. This could end up being a bit politically toxic for Burnham. Burnham can point to Greater Manchester B Network as a model of taking buses back under public control, but it's not actually public control. It's just control. Well, it's controlled by the public, but the actual thing is still a private enterprise. They're just told what to do and what the fare should be and what routes they have to do. But a national test would be larger and harder. But there is the point that because he's planning to devolve everything so much, it's a very unlikely to be a failure across the board. I mean, some regions might fuck it up and not do well out of it, but other regions will do well out of it. So we'll have to see how it turns out. But a serious council house building program would speak directly to renters, young voters, overcrowded families, and councils stuck using temporary accommodation. But by saying he keep to the fiscal rules, Burnham is trying to uh, present change without spooking the markets and having a run on the banks and all kinds of shit. But it does limit how revolutionary this reset can be. Right? That's why I wouldn't call it a revolution. It's not. It is a reset. But yeah, the other thing is this. There's the other political risk that by saying, you know, we're going to reset, we're going to do all this, it raises expectations quickly, and people are becoming more and more impatient. And if he fucks this up, it could deepen cynicism rather than reversing it, which is what he needs to do. Badenoch's obvious route to attack is saying that Burnham is offering slogans without detail. But as I would explain, we don't need the detail. He babbles on about detail. That's why he's not going to be our Prime Minister in a few weeks' time. I don't give a fuck about detail. I want to know the headlines. Give me the headlines and we can deal with the details afterwards. But yeah, the Reform attack line is saying it's an illegitimate handover inside Labour, which is hilarious considering no one voted for Nigel Farage to be the leader of Refuck. And did Robert Jenrick or Danny Kruger or Suella Braverman or Leanderthal have an election to re-elect them as a refucker? No, they moved across to the Refuck Party. I know that Leanderthal did run in the 2024 election as a refucker, but before then he moved across to the party without there being a general election. Having it under public control prevents the bus companies from prioritising profitable routes. Actually, did Lee Anderson run as a Tory in the last election, or did he run as a refucker? I want to know now. God, he's a twat. Parliamentary career. He resigned as deputy chairman of the Conservative Party in January. February, he had the whip suspended. And then GB News. Following the defection. Yeah, so he defected. He defected in March. So he defected in March, and we didn't have the general election till July. So even Leanderthal can't fucking claim that he had an election to make sure people still wanted him. It was just that one happened to come along. Lee Anderson runs nowhere. He slithers. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, this idea that, you know, after Major Brown, May, Johnson, Truss, Sunak all came in without an election, a general election, it's and this situation is uniquely undemocratic. It's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. And you know, I think this is gonna. I think this has got a good chance of working. I don't want to say I think it's going to work because it might not, but I think it's got a better chance of working than whatever Starmerism was. I really do. Britain is ready for a Burnham reset because the alternative is not stability. It's more of the same system that produced the crises that people have been living through. We don't want necessarily stability. We do want change. We do want to change stuff, and we don't want to be losing people over to refuck because that's the only party that they see offering change. Right, we're going to jump in on this speaky thing that oh, hang on. Oh, I'm looking at the BBC here, and it says that it's covering this, but it's actually not. It's actually not covering this. Oh, okay. Oh, he's finished. He's finished on my computer, but he hasn't finished there yet. So I'm guessing that's a bit behind, maybe. I don't fucking know. You're a bit behind there. I think he stops yakking. So it's an additional 15 billion for UK armed forces. That is a fuckload, isn't it? That is a fuckload. The defence budget would be 80 billion. Increasing defence budget by 20 by yeah. It's quite funny because you go to the BBC and it's got as the overlay words on the screen. It's got here we go. I'll show you. It's got drones at heart of new UK defence plan. It's written on the actual thing there, which is funny because droning on is something that Star was very good at. 2 sugars, please. Absolutely. Anyone want pour your coffee down the internet so we can all have some. Vegetarian ham made with 100% pork. They're like Warhammer figures that you paint. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Pete. I've got my little Warhammer camping face. Yeah. I used to paint Citadel miniatures when I was a kid, with blood red and sunburst yellow and the other ones. They had great names, didn't they? Different coloured paint from Games Workshop. Phil's doing really well on these channels because he pays other people to paint his miniatures for him, and I'm like, but that's the whole joy of getting miniatures. You get your little magnifying glass, and you get your little 000 brush. Dip it into your goblin green. Hours of fun. Where did you get your hats? Asked one Ramesses. Well, so I've had this hat since April 2002. So 24 years. Oh my God, that's such a long time. Now the hat is a bit like Doctor Who or Sherlock Holmes or James Bond in that it might be played by different hats, but it's always the same hat. Okay, so the very, very first hat that I got, that was this hat, the first generation. The William Hartnell of my hats was bought in Alice Springs in the middle of Australia in April 2002. So there you go. Now you know. End of April, beginning of May, something like that. It is Australian. It's kangaroo hide. What's that, Skippy? You want me to make a hat out of your hide? All right, mate. Got out my big knife. That's not a knife. No, that's a spoon. I see you played knifey spoony before. So yeah, it is an Australian hat. It's an Australian akubra. It's technically a fedora, but it doesn't feel like a fedora. And it's not a cowboy hat. It's a rover's. Is it a rover? Are they called rovers? It's a rover's hat. I'm going to call myself a rover. Even though it's a time hat. It moves in time and space. But yeah, occasionally my hat will get lost. I've had one of my hats is ripped here. If you saw some of the videos I made while I was away, my hat was ripped there. A little rip. So I had like a little line of light from the sun on my head here. It's very weird. I tried to just tape it up with some tape and it looked even worse. But yeah, I like my hats, and occasionally they shrink. I've given a couple of them away. So yeah, Drover's hat. Yeah, it is a Drover's hat. I thought I just made that up. I thought it was like one of the Muppets. Drover, the Muppet. Hello, Drover. Good day, mate. They're developing a drone gun that shoots out microwaves, brings down drone swarms. Ooh. I have one too, different brand. Yeah, this is Bama. So there you go. Oh, some toasts. Just I made myself a loaf yesterday, crusty loaf. Oh, and the bread maker. God, it looks really good. And I didn't have any last night, so I'm going to have some of that for lunch. Definitely, absolutely, definitely. Sean, technically, if you have an AESA radar, you can do it with that. That's cool. I have a cowboy hat from Oz, a bit bent like me. Ooh, Sean. I like a good hat too. So one of the reasons why I really like Madagascar, everyone was just wearing hats. Everyone's just wearing hats. It's just sensible because it's a fucking hot country with a lot of sun. Anyway, so Starmer is saying that they're going to an additional £15 billion of funding Defence spending will be 80 billion a year by 2029. Adding that some road and energy projects will be scrapped to fund it. The world is arming and aggression is rising. The best way to avoid war is to prepare for it, he said. The Defence Investment Plan, the DIP, will include $5 billion to increase the armed forces' use of drones and autonomous weapons. Three key tests for the plan. It also includes plans for the Royal Navy to become a hybrid navy using self-controlled vehicles and AI alongside warships and aircraft, and funding for 6 new warships, yes. They have to do this. It's horrible. I don't want them to. It's all fucking bloody Vladimir Putin's fault. I really wish his big, beautiful day would come so we could actually spend money on people being nice to each other. You know, planting trees, making some nice parks, you know. Okay. So where have we got here? We've got some more quotes from Jerry Patrick. Who the fuck is Jerry Patrick, Graham? Pagan, do you remember all these quotes? Says Diz. Have you got a book of quotes, more angry Pagan? Yes, AI will do everything again. AI will do fuck all. AI's fucking shite. Try and get your AI to help you with a cryptic crossword. Fucking, it's so shit. It's so shit. Anyway, the Times. We're going to go to papers now. Starmer unveils new look military, but funding doubts remain. I spent 21k going to friends' weddings. Fucking nutter. All right, whatever. Burnham pleads for 10 years to rewire UK. And then we had Naomi Osaka's highly anticipated walk-on outfit for the first day of Wimbledon. A reinterpreted kimono. Stuck to the all-white dress code. I would not like to be playing tennis in that, but, you know, respect. She looks awesome. She does look fucking awesome. One in the AI for for tech after Ford rehires greybeard. While there's widely held belief that AI is going to replace many people's jobs, Ford has proved hope for workers. The American car manufacturers have pivoted back to experienced human staff after an experiment using artificial intelligence backfired. You're going to see a lot more stories like this. You are going to see a lot more stories like this. You are absolutely going to see a lot more stories in this. We've got schoolmates, Star Rashford, DR Congos, Azel, Tuanzebe. So they're in school together in Sale in Manchester. That's quite cool. We've got A Good Life. Don't tell me that Sale's not in Manchester. Whatever. It's near enough. A Good Life there. One of a kind TV legend Penelope Keith dies at 86. She's had good innings. Burnham's housing ambitions. It's coming homes. Very good. PM in waiting promises massive drive-in building of council homes. I thought you were saying drive-in council homes. You just drive into the living room and just watch the TV from the comfort of your car. He says number 10 North will act as a nerve centre of rewired Britain. Nice. Think those daily vitamins are safe. The truth is even dog food is better regulated. What the fuck just happened? What the fuck? Am I seeing that right? Am I seeing that right? Is that talking about the vitamin, the vitamin con, telling people to take vitamins every day when most of the time you don't need them, and if you have too many of certain types of vitamins, you just shit them out and piss them out anyway because your body can't process any more of them than it needs. And yet the vitamin industry, which is a multi-billion-pound industry, very close ties to the pharmaceutical industry, isn't very well regulated. You're saying that dog food is better regulated than vitamins. Is that what you're saying, Daily Mail? Because I agree with you. That's the truth. Mark this day, the last day of the month of June in the year 2026 AD. The Daily Mail finally put something that was true on the front of their shit rag of a newspaper. Yes, dog food is better regulated than vitamins. Vitamins, unless they are prescribed by your doctor for a specific deficiency, are a fucking con. They're a con. They're a massive fucking con. Everything in Holland and Barrett is a con. It's all a fucking placebo. Maybe it works for you. Placebos work for some people, Graham. Nocebos work for some people. But yes. Wow. Daily Mail getting it right. This is going to upset a lot of the readers of the Daily Mail. Because a lot of them, I bet they swear by their vitamins. Anyway, Burnham wants to rewire Britain from Manchester base. Woodbury PM plans to run the country from number 10 north. Will keep Wigan property as main residence, not Downing Street. Fair enough. He's not going to live in Downing Street. We can do that. Why not? Daily Express here. Comic genius. Penelope Keith dies again. Oh my God, how many times did she die? It's in all the other papers as well. William owes his love of tea time to grandmother. Why is that the front cover of a fucking newspaper? What the fuck are we? So embarrassing. Tory leader says country is in limbo as PM-to-be Burnham fails to answer questions. Yeah, because he didn't want to answer any questions because the questions are going to be stupid fucking questions. So he was like, no one's going to ask me any stupid fucking questions. I'm not going to let you. Britain facing summer of no plan chaos. Andy Burnham's lack of plan beyond telling Mercer to sort it out when he gets to number 10 will condemn Britain to a summer of chaos. Says Kemi Badenoch. Chaos? Chaos, anyone? Tories talking about other parliamentary parties bringing in chaos? Could you imagine? It's either strength and stability with the Tories or it's chaos with Ed Miliband. Don't you hate it when your own fucking bullshit comes back to bite you on the arse? Hey, listen, if you got a few more super chats before I wind up, and obviously this has been a bumper show. We've been going now for 3.5 hours now. So if anyone wants to, 3.5 hours, what's wrong with me? 2.5 hours. We're gonna have to wind up before it becomes afternoon brew again, like it did yesterday. Please note that if you want to drop in a couple of quid into the super chat, we get 4 more super chats before the end of the show. We will have Boba Fetty, which will be really exciting. I think it'll be really exciting. And it's the last day of the month today, and Google pays out what you get for an entire month, and the amount that I've got this month is it's not very much. It's like half of what I normally get, and there's a few reasons for that. Obviously, I've not been particularly brilliant on these shows, and there's been a bit of last minuteness to stuff, and there's been a few changes because I did go to Liverpool for a few days, but and I'm going to Liverpool again this week. But I try my best. So yeah, if you want to drop some super chats in, we can hopefully together get to a Boba Fetty, which will be awesome. I'll go and buy a pack of crisps, which are now £2 for some reason. Junior doctors to pay to hit £100,000. Medics call off strike after agreeing deal that raises their salaries 35% in the past 4 years. Fair enough. Tennis, white, but not as you know them. Naomi Osaka continued her string of Grand Slam fashion statement yesterday, turning up to Wimbledon in a floor-length kimono-style dress. The Japanese player has worn similarly extravagant outfits at the British and French Opens. The French and Australian Opens. Was hailed as the fashion queen of Wimbledon by a BBC commentator as she arrived on court number 3. And I've got to say, she looks fucking awesome. She looks fucking... I love that. I really love that. Burnham sets out 1970s vision for Britain. Andy Burnham has laid out radical vision to return Britain to the 1970s. Restraint intervention, a markets and mass social housing programme. How was it like 1970s when that was completely centralised down in London? We didn't even have regional assemblies or parliaments in different countries of the UK. We didn't have fuck all. It was all controlled out of London, and this isn't what he's doing. But say that we're going back to the 70s, whatever. I'm sure the gams who read this have rosy memories of the 70s of everything being brown and orange and smelling of fucking smoke. Ryan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's very kind of you. Look at that, a £5. I'll be able to buy you a couple of bags of crisps now. Thank you very much, Ryan. That's very kind of you. We only need 3 more little super chats, little tiny super chats, or maybe a big super chat if you want to drop us a big super chat. It's the end of the month today, last day of June. I'll be very welcome in the next 5 minutes. Anything can happen in the next 5 minutes. Starmer to shortchange, or was anything can happen in the next half hour, wasn't it? Anything can happen in the next half hour. Was that from a Jerry Anderson puppet thing? Didn't they use that in the song in the 90s? I seem to remember there being was it a dance track or something, and they used that quote from one of Jerry Anderson's puppets. Anything can happen in the next half hour. I don't know, it seems to be stuck in my head for some reason. Starmer to shortchange defence in final act as Prime Minister. So Keir Starmer is to unveil a defence spending plan that falls £9 billion short of matching key NATO allies. I don't know. I don't know. I think he's wrong-footed you there, mate, because I think he's actually given fucking loads more. Okay, so next up we've got migrants to pick up bills for hotel lodgings, which we talked about. Crufts winner kept dogs in squalor. I can't read this one. I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that. It fucks me off too much. I fucking hate that these motherfuckers who make all their money, they make millions out of abusing dogs. These fucking dog breeders, completely unlicensed, unregulated, unsupervised, and they're fucking horrible. Absolute fucking horror shows. The whole pedigree market for dogs is a disgusting fucking market where they torture dogs. They breed dogs in such a way that they live in constant pain throughout their entire lives. That's why so many pedigree dogs only last for like 2 or 3 years before fucking dying. It's so gross. It's so sick. They have... You're not allowed to breed sibling dogs. So what they'll do is, or a parent and a pup. So what they'll do is they'll breed a grandparent and a pup to get around the issues. The amount of DNA left in a British fucking bulldog these days, you can write it on a fucking postage stamp. The variations, it's all the amount of genetic variation, I should say. It's fuck all, which is really, really worrying. Because you're essentially making clone dogs that are so fucking inbred that they can't function as dogs. They can't, these poor fucking animals. Why are we doing this? For Crufts. Because for years, Crufts never gave a fuck about the health of an animal. All they cared about, or of a dog, all they cared about was if it looked right. Get ChatGPT to make a fucking dog. Oh yeah, looks right. Give the fucking award to that. Rather than actually putting the health of the animal first. Is the dog healthy? Is the dog in fucking massive amounts of pain? No, it looks good. And you can jump over these fucking obstacles. Anyway. Ooh, Lee Corn. Get yourself 2.5 bags of crisps, Graham. Oh, thank you so much, Lee. Oh, it's so kind of you. And also, it means we only need 2 more super chats. We might do it before we launch the Boba Fetty cannon. Boba Fetty. Sorry, giving a super chat on my phone is a right pitter. It never remembers my password. Sorry about that. We have 3 mutts. Won't ever win Crufts, but they're genetically healthy, not inbred. Yeah. Boba Fetty, confetti, crisps and days. Oh, thank you very much to Pretty Kate Machine. We only need 1 more super chat now. We are all good. Son of Concorde can zoom with no boom. A plane built by NASA has broken the sound barrier without producing a sonic boom, bringing civilian supersonic flights a step closer. The experimental X-59, catchy, dubbed the Son of Concorde, Son of Kong, exceeds the speed of sound after taking off in the US. The needle-nosed aircraft flew at Mach 1.4. The aircraft is capable of breaking the sound barrier while only producing a gentle sonic thump. Ooh. Well down to aerodynamics, that, and the paint they use. The stealth fighter in America, the stealth bomber. The way that it stops, it doesn't appear on radar, is to do with the paint. Because the paint is very, very clever paint that absorbs radio signals, just absorbs them, so it doesn't bounce off them and then give anyone a reading. It just absorbs them, sucks them all in. And you're thinking, how could a country that is like so good at technology that they can actually make paint that can that can absorb enemy radar and not give itself away on a radar screen, right? That same country tried to paint the fucking bottom of the reflecting pool blue and then put bleach in it and then wondered why it all falls and peeling it apart. It's hydrogen peroxide. My old dog was a collie, German Shepherd's best dog ever. A collie cross German Shepherd. Yeah. I mean, if you want a healthy dog, get a Mongol. Get a dog that's made up of different dogs. Not just paint, but angles too. But yes, it's magic paint. Thank you, Gallifreyan, man. I like it when I say something and then I'm like not told in the chat that I'm wrong. It doesn't happen very often. Well, actually, Graham, it's not the paint, it's that there. But yeah, the angles do help as well. But it's a very clever thing to do. The fucking star. This is you have the right to the same as Andy Burnham. Can anyone be bothered to stand for PM? Here's your free Andy Burnham mask. It'll be straight. Whatever. Oh, I can't even be asked. Burnham puts number 10 North at the heart of the bid to rewire Britain. Maternity care not fit for purpose, says report. Doctors say yes on deal on jobs and pay. Covered all those stories. I'm better than the newspapers because I'm telling you all the stories and we have a little discussion about it. And these are just rubbish. Military focus shifts to drones as UK learns lessons from Ukraine. There's a fond farewell to Penelope Keith. It was very funny. How to love your teens and learn to let go. Just cut the rope. Burnham pledges growth, housing and number 10 North in his vision for rewired Britain. Likely next Prime Minister promises new nerve centre in Manchester, with more control flowing to mayors and councils in the biggest rebalancing of power our country has ever seen, which is very exciting. Next up, we got Davina McCall there. Not being live on Big Brother made me swear. Cool. She went to private school. Sparks fly over Andy's radical rewiring. King of the North vows to pull plug on rule from Westminster by handing greater control to regions, but Badenoch warns of power blackout unless the PM in waiting takes helm before the long summer break. Okay, whatever. And then we finish with the FT. We need one more super chat to unleash our friend Boba Fetty. If we get one more, we can unleash that on an unsuspecting nation. Obviously, was it the Metro? They're trying to make loads of jokes about rewiring and spark plugs and having a blackout, whatever. How the great wealth transfer will hit Wall Street, and then we've got is AI an exoskeleton for the mind? No, by Sarah O'Connor. This is AI and exoskeletons being talked about by Sarah O'Connor. Are you Sarah O'Connor? No, I'm Sarah O'Connor. Okay, wrong address. Burnham pledges rewiring of state in bid to spread growth across country. PM in waiting sets out 10-year vision. Speech light on policy detail. Bond markets react calmly. We've got some briefing here. British American tobacco to slash 1 in 5 global jobs amid a revamp. We did that story yesterday, didn't we, about British American tobacco cutting jobs? Hooray. Trump blocked over Fed. Donald Trump has been blocked from firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Said that one. Stray drones tolerated. Stray deep strike Ukrainian drones crashing in NATO territory are a price worth paying for the destruction of Russian refineries. Estonia's foreign minister has said, which is fair enough. BT and Verizon in tie-up. BT and US mobile group Verizon are going to combine their international businesses. Oh, sake. Beijing grounds aircraft. Flights of private fixed-wing light aircraft have been restricted after a plane last week crashed into the CITIC Tower, the tallest building in Beijing. Then we've got Atom Bank sale teeters. The sale of Newcastle-based Atom Bank is close to collapse as the auction for the digital lender failed to garner bids of £600 million. Freight cost surge. Global freight shipping costs hit their most expensive level since the Red Sea crisis 2 years ago. And then we've got Virgin Media bonds hit. Virgin Media's O2 bonds have slumped amid investor fears that intense broadband competition and a £2 billion buy by its parents groups will hit the indebted group's cash flow. Oh dear. Things aren't looking good for Virgin Media. Comcast to spin off NBC Universal and Sky amid fast-moving US media sector. Comcast plans to separate NBC Universal and Sky from its mobile and broadband networks in a breakup that accelerates a dramatic reshaping of the US media industry. Oh, usually it's all these different things coming together to make an Omnicorp, but this is actually getting split up. Square Mile fears for the future of City Police Force. Potential plans to abolish the City of London Police and fold it into Capital's Metropolitan Police Force have spread alarm across the Square Mile. My take on it is there should be 26 police forces across London who all work with each other, but are all separate. And if you do have some bad apples, you can get rid of everyone instead of just a few people. So there you go. Where are we? Those sodding companies should stop buying each other. Okay, my friends, my little chickadee boos. I'm gonna head off now So I go and have some breakfast because I'm fucking starving and I'm waiting to have some of that lovely, lovely homemade bread. I don't know what to have on it. What I like to do, right, because I'm like dirty bastard like this, get some homemade bread, right, cut it nice and, if you practice cutting bread for a long time, you can do a good job, right? Anyway, so cut the bread, a bit of put it in the toaster, right? Toast that bastard, right? Then put it down on a bit of paper, a plate, right? Put a bit of butter on it, right? Because you got to do that. Then get a spoon, little spoon, marmalade, spoon out the marmalade. Do this with honey as well, but marmalade's really good, right? Pop it in the microwave for 20 seconds. I know, don't tell me, don't at me, right? Just 20 seconds, right? And make sure that the pieces of toast are slightly up on the rim of the plate, and that allows it not to go soggy on the bottom. If it's fixed to the bottom of the plate, it will go soggy in that 20 seconds. But what it does is it makes the marmalade super hot, and so you got nice hot toast, you got nice hot marmalade. Oh, so good, perfection. Have that with a nice hot cup of tea. Andy Burnham, this is from Pete, used to open the annual community family fun day in my village. He would be put in the stocks and kids would throw wet sponges at him. He took some pesters. Bless him. Well, that's good. That's good, So the Brits invented radar absorbing paint in the 1960s, put it on Vulcan bombers, and nuked America a few times without being detected. Woohoo! Gloves off, white pants, send cash. Happy days. Thank you very much, Kev. That allows me to press the magic confetti. No, the Boba Fetty button. The Boba Fetty. Here we go. We're going to have some Boba Fetty. 3, 2, 1. Boba Fetty! What if he doesn't survive? He's no use to me, Dad, etc. Why have I suddenly got a Kiwi accent? Why have I been redubbed? Why have you redubbed my voice? Give me back my original voice of Jeremy Bullock. Anyway, they stole my voice. They put me in a helmet and then they stole my voice. I had banana and honey on toast this morning. Oh, that sounds good. Banana and honey on toast. Ooh, that does sound good. That does sound good. But you know what else sounds good? Me putting food in my face now. Is that still going on? I don't really understand. He's still talking. Has he not said everything already? I'm confused. Genius. Thank you very much. You're an infected of for appreciating my genius. It's my top tip. That and crunchy nut cornflakes with vanilla ice cream. If you're ever stuck in a bind and you got some vanilla ice cream and you're like, that's a bit boring. If you've got some crunchy nut cornflakes, put them on top. The crunch and the cold. Oh, beautiful. I mean, if you can't sort something out better. But, I also like get some, sometimes make little toast pizzas. Get a bit of, tomato puree on there. Bit of mozzarella. Put the bit of pepperoni on top. Put in the fucking air fryer. Oh, yeah. A couple of minutes in the air fryer. Fucking genius, mate. Fucking genius. You get the despecialized editions. You get the OG Boba Fett voice of Jeremy Bullock. The original. And you also get the Sebastian Shaw at the end, who played old Anakin, who managed to age like 50 years in 20. Don't know how that happened. There you go. I suppose he would have been in his 20s, wouldn't he, when he turned into Darth Vader? Okay, that might kind of make sense. Tortilla wraps also make great low calorie pizza bases. Crushed digestive biscuits work well with ice cream. Yes, they do. I will absolutely 100% agree with that. But yeah, tortilla wraps, done that for pizza bases as well. That's also good. You can make a banging pizza using plain naan as a base. Yes, Andy, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I like that we're sharing our little culinary fucking tips here. This is good. This is good. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna go. I've got loads of stuff to do because there's loads of shit going on down at the house here in Durham. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do an afternoon sesh of writing for Top of the World, but I might do. So please give us a like. Give us a like before you go. Please also subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. If you're watching this on catch up or whatever, hit the bell notification icon and that'll let you know if I'm going live later on. But I might be going live this afternoon, do a bit of writing, maybe for an hour or so, not for long. But then also tonight, I should be doing a show at about 7:30 with Ollie. We'll be doing an episode of Geoscope, so join me for that. And if you can, and if you want to, and if you do, it'd be fucking awesome. It'd be great to see you. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of the day, whatever you get up to. Whatever happens, I'll try and see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.